reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
15, just $15 a month. So.
When cyber threats target the world's data, seconds matter. That's why the world's most trusted brands depend on ReliaQuest Gray Matter to contain threats in seconds. It's the only technology-independent, AI-driven platform built by security operators for security operators. ReliaQuest. Make security possible.
Wednesday, August 6th, join CNBC's virtual small business playbook event, Real World Insights, on navigating volatility and seizing opportunity. Register now at cnbcevents.com/smallbiz.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World.
CNBC's daily digital show has trading updates, the latest headlines, a global perspective, and high-profile interviews. Scan to watch CNBC's Crypto World, sponsored by Crypto.com.
$2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed. You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
Well, those tensions between President Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell playing out in real time in front of the cameras yesterday during the president's visit to the Federal Reserve Building. Joining us right now is someone else who was at that meeting, the Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought. He was with the president yesterday. And Russ, thanks for being with us this morning. We saw how things played out on the cameras. How was it behind the scenes?
It was a very good visit. We learned a lot. The president learned a lot from being able to see it with his own eyes. He's a master builder. He has had great interest in this project. We learned a lot from watching him as a builder, figuring out the types of things that he would never have done in designing this as a renovation. And fundamentally, the reasons for why this is costing so much. They had good conversations throughout, and we're not surprised that they don't necessarily agree with every of the viewpoints that we have, but these are the numbers that have come from the Fed, and they are entirely correct. This renovation, the combination of all of the headquarter buildings, is a $3 billion, and the overrun just for those two buildings, we want to talk about just those two, and the Chairman Powell, the overrun just for those two buildings is $1 billion, and there's some unbelievable reasons for why that is so.
Such as?
Such as, number one, they are putting a tunnel in between the buildings. Number two, they're essentially excavating an entire basement approach in an area of the D.C. the National Mall that we know has problems with water. So you have to go very deep. You have to be able to figure out how you're going to prevent future leakage down the road. And they have an enormous parking lot that they are building into the ground. That is something that most agencies don't have. For $30 million compared to the $250 million for the parking itself, you could be able to provide parking benefits for the entirety of the Fed. There's largesse everywhere you look, and there are some fundamental reasons for why this thing has become so big. This is not just restoring a building that needed to be restored for its historical purposes, nor is it the only renovation this building has received. That is inaccurate. This building had renovations at the turn of the century, 1999 or so, and so there's been a lot of work done to this building. This is about doing enormous renovations of an entire headquarter building and largely escaping the notice of the public and Congress.
Well, Russell, that's where I wanted to go with this, which is to say, and I'm all for shining a spotlight on things. Transparency is clearly important. The question that I have as a taxpayer and the criticism of the Fed in this context, if the criticism is valid, is whether you ultimately think or can specify that this wasn't done in a transparent way. Meaning, was this all some kind of secret that nobody knew? From my understanding, all of this was disclosed to Congress and to the government. It's obviously we can see it physically happening if you walk by the building. So while it's important that the administration or others, say maybe there's a problem here, or not a problem, but there's cost overruns here, the question about sort of that this is terrible is what?
No, look, the information that we've ascertained, that Congress has ascertained, has become as a result of the oversight process. And we heard yesterday from Chairman Scott the extent to which it's been prying teeth to get this information from the Fed in a way that you would not have if you were trying to get Department of HUD to talk about their building campaign, which hasn't happened, is why they're having to move. And so as a result of that, we've had to rely on FOIA documents. This material hasn't been in their normal financial statements. This is something that has been at every step a huge labor to get information about what's going on, comparing apples to oranges with regard to being able to hide the extent to which those two buildings are overrun. The totality of this renovation project, begun a number of years ago, approved in 2021, is a $3.1 billion. It is the same levels of if you include all of the Palace of Versailles, if you include all of the congressional buildings from the dawn of this republic to now, this building equals that. That is what we are drawing attention to. And the other thing I would just say is the extent to which they continue to say, look, we've made these changes. They may have made some, but they're still relying on much of the same design. They talk about, oh, there's no private dining rooms. There are meal-ready meeting rooms. Meal-ready meeting rooms are private dining rooms for the executives of the Federal Reserve. And so that is the kind of things we're trying to get to the bottom of. The National Capital Planning Commission will be very involved in continuing to ask questions. But I think what you heard from the president yesterday is, like, we want to get this thing done. This is not an attempt to say this project should be halted permanently. We want to get it done, and we want to get it done as cheaply and efficiently as possible.
Right. But
I think it gets to the degree to the fiscal mismanagement of the Fed.
Right, but Russell, part of what I think a lot of the public sees, and even the investor class thinks, is that this is a pretext to either try to fire the Fed chair or to pressure him effectively to lower rates, and that this is sort of a leverage point in a larger discussion and debate, and or a way to distract from other issues that maybe the president's dealing with at the White House. So how do you see that?
You can only answer the question so many times, and the president has done that. He's asked repeatedly, do you intend to fire the Fed chairman? He said, no, it's not likely. I have no intention of doing that right now. And this is about ensuring that the Fed has the accountability of the American people knowing what's going on. Does the president have viewpoints? Yes, he does have viewpoints. The American people get to have a say in what they believe the Fed should do. The president believes that the American people, as the person that is elected on their entire behalf, get to have a say in whether rates are lower. And so if you're at the Fed and you're getting questions about both, of course you're going to answer to both of those issues. But it's also true that the Fed needs to be accountable for things that are beyond monetary policy. Their building, their ability to transmit remittances back to the Treasury that impact our deficit, the extent to which their regulatory activities are supposed to go through a regulatory review process, of which they are not complying right now. So there's a whole host of issues with regard to the Fed, and we want to make sure that those questions get answered over time. This is not a pressure campaign on the Fed chairman.
Russ, let's just dig into that a little bit, because the general take from most people we've talked to is that yesterday, even though it was a little awkward in front of the cameras, was that there was some pressure that was coming down in terms of pressure on the Fed chairman. Is that what you think, too? We did hear from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who said on this program last week that he would like to see the Fed undertake its own internal investigation about, I guess, regulatory stray getting into other areas. Are these just pressure points to say the Fed needs to be looking at all of these things, or is this laying out for a reason for why Jay Powell would not be qualified to do there? The president said that he's not looking to do that, but are you and other people in the administration still
Hello,
thinking
guys.
that he's not fit to be running?
Good morning,
this?
friends.
The president and the administration have policy views vis-a-vis the Fed on a host of different issues. You saw two of them discussed yesterday. The Secretary of Treasury has opined recently on a number of them. I just gave you a new one with regard to the regulatory review. And we're going to continue to articulate our policy concerns with regard to the Fed's management, and that will continue. You don't get to just be at the Fed and not have any criticism directed your way. That is not something that exists in the American political system. We respect the job that they have to do, that they are called to do under statute, and we're going to continue to represent the administration's perspective. The president will do it on his own behalf, and that is only going to continue on in the next weeks and days ahead, because we see on a host of fronts a lot of mismanagement that is hurting the American people, and they need a voice in this town, and the president is providing that voice on ways that this Fed is holding the economy back from even greater heights.
Russ, do you anticipate that the Fed chairman will be there through his term in May?
Again, the president's been very clear. He has no intention. He finds this conversation very unlikely. And so we are making a policy argument on lower rates. We're making a policy argument with regard to a extravagant, luxurious, costly renovation. And we will continue to make those policy arguments into the weeks ahead.
Steve Leisman was with us earlier this morning, and he posited that potentially what you'd see the Fed do in this next meeting is maybe change their language to say that if it looks like there's no inflation that comes from the tariffs, that could clear the path to lower rates. Would that be enough to satisfy this administration?
The president wants to see lower rates. We will be watching the next meeting very closely. We want to see the deliberations and the kinds of statements and hopefully decisions that get made to lower rates. I think he's heard that from the president yesterday. But this is something that we believe is vital over the next several weeks and months, is for the Fed to recognize what the rest of the country and honestly the world is assessing, which is America is hot right now. The economy has a chance to grow tremendously. We're already growing, and we've got to be able to have our federal rates reflect that so that we can get costs down.
But you do understand the argument that if the economy is doing so well, that's an argument to not lower rates.
Again, I understand the argument, but you don't want to have rates artificially high, and countries across the world are lowering their rates. There's no reason for why we should have artificially high rates and holding back investment in this country and the ability to have lending be cheaper. And that is something that we've got to address. We need a Fed that's willing to look at that carefully. And here's the thing. Part of it just comes from just this town's unwillingness to update their algorithms economically to the fact that tariffs are not leading to inflation like they predicted for decades, and kept presidents from doing what President Trump has done, which is to impose tariffs, to protect the country economically, get businesses back on shore. And as a result, they're basically saying something that's going to happen, something's going to happen that hasn't, and they're holding back their fire, and as a result, that's hurting the country.
I mean, just to bring the perspective of a restaurant owner who was just on with us earlier this hour and a small business owner who joined us in the 6 a.m. hour, both of them said inflation is up. In the case of the restaurant owner, he was talking about meat prices. He said wage inflation is starting to slow, and that's good news. But earlier this morning, we spoke to a small business owner who said everything he tries to do in terms of building costs, in terms of just running the business and the inputs he's putting into it, he has seen inflation. So if you talk to people on Main Street, they are worried about that inflation, and that is something that the Fed has to watch out for.
Well, certainly when you have a national debate that talks about costs being on the rise, when you don't see that in the numbers, what prices go up and will go down. But from a position of the overall inflation level, we're just not seeing that. And we don't expect that to change. We predicted this would not occur. It's not happening. And as a result, the president is being proven right economically. We got a lot of trade deals that are being passed. We're in a very good place on that front. And we're going to see ongoing success, but we've got to have lower rates. And I think that's what you saw the president put an emphasis on yesterday, and I expect that to continue.
Russ Vogt, OMB Director. Russ, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Becky.
Coming up next, a check on the markets. Plus, don't miss FCC Chairman Brendan Carr on Squawk on the Street later this morning to discuss the approval of the Paramount deal with Skydance Media. As we head to a break, check out shares of Charter Communications falling after the company reported that it lost 80,000 TV customers as well as 117,000 internet customers. Comcast and Liberty down as well after those numbers came out. We're coming right back.
Sarah Benzino, Brandon Coley, Jablonski Auto Body, LLC.
What'd she call Harper?
Oh, you mean Jablonski Auto Body, LLC.
We actually sold the twins naming rights.
You know, like stadiums do. Kids are so expensive these days. Here he comes.
Oasis Breeze Tan and Spa.
If you need a tan, I'm your man.
Could do business with you.
Or we can look at some investment options for you.
Works for us.
The right money moves aren't as absurd as you think.
Next on the red carpet, we have Gina Costa, looking simply stunning with this season's hottest accessory. Oh, what's this? She's opening her Fidelity app to buy that stock for exactly the amount she wants. No fees or commissions. What will Gina do next?
Gina has roller derby at 6 p.m.
I'm there.
Get started investing for as little as $1. Talk about easier investing.
Decking and railing that stands up to whatever you ask and bends to your every whim. Trex, performance engineered for your life outdoors.
We have concerns with lots of American companies that come on Squawk Box that do business with China.
You should be concerned with the companies that don't come on Squawk Box.
Squawk Box, weekdays 6 a.m. Eastern and streaming on CNBC Plus.
With Stitch Fix, so easy. How cute are these? Having a personal stylist makes my life so much easier. You select sizing, your style. I get to set my own budget. Free shipping and returns. There is no subscription required.
I feel like I'm understood, I'm seen, my stylist gets me. Items will flatter your body type.
I'm obsessed!
I look good, I feel confident, and that's all with the help of Stitch Fix.
I love that.
Stitch Fix, online personal styling for everyone.
We're here for our convertible.
How about an SUV?
Want to get out of here?
Hier ist das Schiebedach.
Und hier ist die Sonnencreme.
Okay, let's move on.
Where are those trucks? We're right here.
Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Yep, still here.
Final check on the markets this morning. The Dow up about 57 points, S&P 500 up about 8 points. The NASDAQ, well, we'll call it basically unch. Let's show you the treasuries right now. Let's show you the 10-year and the 2-year. The 10-year now sitting at 4.4, the 2-year at 3.9. And we've been talking about energy and oil and, frankly, AI data centers, if you could put all of that in one mouthful this morning. WTI crude, 66.52. Maybe this all connects. Let's show you crypto as well. Bitcoin, depending on where you stand now, back down at about $116,000 a coin. Ether at $3,700. And then finally, you can take a look at gold and also the dollar. We'll flip those boards around. It's been a heck of a week. I mean, I can't even think about
well, the
head-spinning bit of it all.
And a new high every day. We'll see if it can keep that trend up, see if it continues for a full week of gains through the day. It's kind of indicated there now, and we'll see.
And we got a lot more earnings coming up next week, so make sure to stick with us. Have a fabulous weekend, everybody. Make sure you join us next week. Squawk on the Street begins right now.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with David Faber.
Connection lost.
9 of the New York Stock Exchange. Jim has the morning off. S&P is gunning for 5 gains in a row and some fresh all-time highs as we put a busy week of earnings to bed. Get ready for next week's Fed decision and an even busier earnings calendar with more than a third of S&P market cap reporting. Our roadmap begins with the president, though. His historic visit to the Fed yesterday, sparring with the Fed chair over those renovation costs, but holding back on threats to fire him.
Plus, Intel shares are dropping post-results as the chipmaker continues to try and turn things around.
And the FCC greenlight Skydance's takeover of Paramount, the deal valued at about $8 billion. We're going to speak with FCC Chairman Brendan Carr about that decision and a few other things.
Let's begin with the markets. S&P and NASDAQ are coming off more record closes, as we mentioned, although once again, the longest stretch of the year without a 1% move. The earnings beat rate, Sarah, has been pretty good at 84%, although the average stock, thanks to Bespoke this morning, that has reported is down a touch on the earnings reaction. That's interesting to watch.
But the revenue beats are bigger than historically averaging, and that is something that I think has been a positive surprise to the markets, especially on a quarter when the companies are really having to deal with tariffs, and they're mitigating it in different ways, and some of them are finding it delayed because they have inventory. But overall, it's a better than expected picture. You know, Goldman Sachs has a sort of speculative basket that they're looking at that was interesting because this is a week that was also defined by meme trades coming back. I mean, the most shorted stocks, most hated stocks in the market, like GoPro and Kohl's. And yesterday, American Eagle, did you see that one? Got a big lift after Sydney Sweeney became the new poster child of the poster girl of the American Eagle ads. That one went up 4.25% after a really rough year. SPACs, I didn't realize this. I saw in the Goldman note, $9 billion of SPAC issuance deals this quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Cantor alone has 4 of them out there now. Howard Lutnick's son, Brandon, running. I mean, it's 4 different SPACs that they've raised since, I mean, not even the last 6 months, just to put in perspective. So you are starting to see SPACs come back. We're reloading the old SPAC index. It's taking a little while to get the data together, Sarah. I know you're anxious for it. But to your point,
I just didn't realize that was a thing again.
We're going to be tracking this stuff again, yeah.
But it's all signs that, you know, according to Goldman, the speculative activity is back. 61% of options activity, they say, are call options. So what does this mean? Well, actually, they look at it and, you know, going out a few months after the speculative index is at this level, actually you see better returns in the market overall, but you know, could also lead to things like squeezes and sort of more violent corrections, ultimately.
This tracker, this speculative trading indicator, they say, tracks unprofitable stocks, penny stocks, and then stocks, David, where EV to sales is 10x or higher. Yesterday, item on the tape about this 5-cent meme stock, Healthcare Triangle, which was 15% of trading on U.S. exchanges.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Not to mention the call trading in some of these meme names exceeding
way up.
NVIDIA and Tesla calls combined. That's the environment we're getting into.
It's reminiscent of 2021.
Potentially, but at the same time, you know, Google's still trading at like 21 times earnings with a 13% growth rate. So, you know, you can also, for every one of those, you can also point to sort of some of the larger companies. Now, we've been through Alphabet and all the different pros and cons there, but there are still areas of the market where people can make an argument that there is value to be had, despite what may be sort of pockets of speculation that we should keep an eye on because, of course, we've seen this before, and then it has resulted ultimately in a lot of people losing a lot of money if they aren't careful.
Also, the misses have been punished this week on earnings. I mean, it's not like everything is just going up. Healthcare, for instance, is a sector that's been absolutely battered.
Order submitted.
We'll talk about it later. Centene is the latest there, of course, to be lowered because of the just totally blurry outlook. But the market, you know, overall, Carl, we didn't get a lot of economic data to trade on. It's been earnings and it's been trade deals. And the tariff news is traded as better than worst case scenario and better than it could have been with threatened tariffs.
Yeah, streets trying to get their arms around this Japan deal. A bunch of stories in Japanese media today, for example, that the 100 Boeing planes is not new, part of existing agreements between Japan
order
filled. Producers. There's a line from Akazawa, the Japanese trade negotiator. I have no recollection, he said, of what Besant was saying on U.S. television. So we do need some text
Well,
around
I'm still
these.
trying to understand the $550 billion. I asked the Commerce Secretary about it yesterday, but I would like to wait and see what the actual language is around that. The idea simply, as he expressed it, that the Japanese are going to spend more than $500 billion here at the
Order filled. Order filled.
of President Trump to fund this particular project. Then 90% of the earnings from said project will go to the U.S. I just trying to understand that in terms of what that really means from the Japanese perspective.
Right. Prime Minister says it likely a mix of investments, loans, and loan guarantees up to $550. What we don't know is whether that includes prior commitments from Nippon, prior commitments from SoftBank. So those are important.
Or that's a completely separate fund of some kind. Yeah.
Still, I think it was seen as something the U.S. is getting, a sweetener, in order to lower the auto tariffs from 25% to 15%, which was a good deal for the Japanese automakers and why they rallied.
It's like a $500 billion. It's like, here you go.
For one man to decide?
That's real money, man. That's not, that's not we're going to buy some more of your soybeans.
No, but it's investment. And look at where all the investment is going into the U.S. It's going into data centers, and it's going into building out AI infrastructure, and there's a lot of foreign demand and interest in that.
Well, there's
like
an enormous amount of
Order
capital that
submitted.
needs to be going into the data centers. Right. We've talked about that many times. Yeah, I don't know that there's a shortage of capital. Power, perhaps. Sorry.
Order canceled. Order filled.
There's a shirt that doesn't have a good collar. I realized I hadn't actually even, my
What a
things
mess.
were I'm a mess. Yeah.
All right, in the meantime.
I was busy, by the way, up there.
Well,
busy
that's
today.
good.
I got a
That's
lot
what
of
you're
stuff
supposed to
for
be doing.
Friday.
All right,
So we got a good show.
We got a good show. We got to talk about the Fed. How about this video? President Trump's visit to the Federal Reserve yesterday afternoon, taking a tour of the construction area where costly renovations of 2 historic Fed buildings are taking place. He did it in front of the press yesterday. And in front of the press, Trump and Powell went back and forth, sparring, really, over the costs. Listen.
We're taking a look, and it looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot.
Order
so the
submitted.
2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building,
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
Order canceled.
Like surreal.
Order
I mean,
submitted.
The social media jokes, The Office, SNL, Parks and Recreation. So the Fed released a statement on the visit today saying they are grateful to the president's encouragement to complete this important project. And I think the biggest takeaway for the market, guys, is that afterwards, when the president was answering questions, he did not say he was going to fire Fed Chair Powell and actually said that, that was not the way that they were going, and continue to say he'll, imply that he'll serve his term through May of next year. And what this is all really about, and the president's been pretty clear about it, is that he wants lower interest rates. Yes, this is theater, and it's a spectacle that he did this to put pressure on the Fed chair. I think Fed Chair Powell held his own when it comes to arguing about the cost.
Without a doubt. Sarah, what do you think when the president keeps coming back to 300 basis points, is what 3 percentage points is what he seems to say. Is that...
Yes, because he wants to save $1 trillion in interest payments that the government has to pay right now
Order
because
submitted.
of higher interest rates. The problem with that is that the economy doesn't dictate a cut. You can have a very legit debate, and the president might be right that it's time to be lowering interest
Order
rates. In
submitted.
fact, there's members at the Fed that are arguing that it's time to lower interest rates. Nobody's arguing 300 basis points. The
Order
president's putting
submitted.
that out there. It's extreme.
So he does say that the Fed's costing the U.S. $1 trillion a year in interest expense. You know what we paid in total interest expense last year? $1.1 trillion. So is he arguing that our expense will essentially be eliminated on interest? That seems unlikely.
Yeah, that's unlikely, but it's more unlikely that the Fed would lower 300 basis points in this kind of environment where we do actually still have a little bit of inflationary risk. I think the point is also, as we've pointed out a number of times, just because the Fed lowers interest rates, and if they do even a sizable interest rate cut, that doesn't necessarily alleviate the higher interest rate costs, because market rates might not adjust and might not actually come down as much as the Fed lowers
As we
interest rates.
pointed
It's
out,
not directly
mortgage rates bottomed right when the Fed began to cut last fall.
Right. Fed cut, rates actually went up.
Not to mention if, in fact, there is a belief that the Fed is no longer an independent agency in some way, based on whoever does replace Powell.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, there's
What
a committee.
don't you know?
There's a committee that decides interest rates. So sure, he might put someone in place that's a little more politically motivated and will do what he says. By the way, it's always kind of the case. I'm not saying the Fed is political, and we don't want to talk about the Fed in that way. But it's an appointee of the president, always the Fed chair, and then there's a committee that's Senate confirmed Federal Reserve governors and that board governors, and then there's also regional Fed presidents that rotate in and out on votes.
Order filled.
All true, and of course Powell was his
pick.
Was his pick.
Mnuchin, Treasury
Order
Secretary
submitted.
Mnuchin was someone who backed Powell. Look, the discussion now moves to who might replace him, and does that change the trajectory of interest rate cuts into next year? And I think a lot will just depend on
Order
what the inflation
canceled.
data
Order
shows. Next
submitted.
week is going to be huge for us because not only is 38% of the S&P 500 report, but it's a jobs week. It's a
Order
PCE,
filled.
which is the Fed's preferred inflation measure week.
Order submitted.
B of A looking for 60K NFP.
Yeah.
That would be the
Which is weak.
lowest since October of last year.
We'll see, because it's not going to get the contribution of the public sector jobs, remember, at the local level from schools that we got in terms of job growth last month.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be next week's going to be bananas.
Massive.
When we come back, Intel's down on the latest quarter as this new CEO, Lip Bhutan, tries to turn things around, cutting headcount and a lot of other things to watch on Intel. We'll talk about the road ahead. We'll get to Charter and Deck, Auto Nation, Paramount, of course. Take a look at the futures as Squawk on the Street comes back after this.
At Capital Group, we believe in the potential energy of fixed income. Fueled by 50 years of experience, our distinctive approach to fixed income investing has delivered strong long-term results and could power portfolios to reach investor goals. All you have to do to activate this potential energy is activate us. Capital Group Fixed Income, actively different.
It's amazing when devices help you turn a product innovation into a global sensation. CDW experts make that happen by building resilient edge-to-cloud infrastructure and device solutions with Lenovo. Powerful productivity and the ability to scale quickly help your organization stay ahead of the competition. Make amazing happen. Lenovo and CDW.
At PGIM, finding opportunity in fixed income today helps secure tomorrow. Our time-tested fixed income suite, backed by over 145 years of risk experience, helps investors meet their goals. PGIM Investments, shaping tomorrow today.
Only the ServiceNow platform connects every corner of your business, putting AI to work for people.
HR?
Yeah.
IT?
Yeah.
R&D?
Yep.
OMG?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's the department I work in.
All right, enough of that.
Introducing CNBC Plus, a new streaming platform from the #1 source in business news. On-the-go access to international financial markets, business news, and analysis as it happens. Bell-to-bell global live stream. CNBC Plus
Order
real-time
filled.
data, and full episodes of CNBC's Business Day lineup on demand. CNBC
Order
Plus.
submitted.
Access any market, anytime, anywhere. Start streaming at cnbc.com/plus.
With Stitch Fix, so easy. How cute are these? Having a
Order
personal
canceled.
stylist makes
Order
my life
submitted.
so much easier. You select sizing, your style. I get to set my own budget. Free shipping and returns. There is no subscription required.
I feel like I'm understood.
Order
I'm
filled.
seen, my stylist gets me.
Items will flatter
Order
your body
submitted.
type. I'm obsessed.
I look good, I feel confident, and that's all with the help of Stitch Fix.
I love that.
Stitch Fix, online personal styling for everyone.
We're here for our convertible.
How about an SUV?
Want to get out of here?
Hier ist das Schiebedach.
Und hier ist die Sonnencreme.
Order filled.
Okay, let's move on.
Where are those trucks? We're right here.
Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Yep, still here.
Intel, one of the biggest losers on the NDX in the pre-market, despite the company actually topping revenue estimates. Christina Partsinevelos with a look at today's drop. So what is the story here, Christina?
Sarah, you know, all of Intel's revenue segments, they did beat estimates, but that beat came against already low expectations. You talked about that revenue beat. Analysts have been lowering their expectations for the past month or so. Margins were a little bit weaker, and guidance for EPS came in below consensus, driven by higher costs. Management also acknowledged a likely pull forward in demand ahead of tariffs, something we saw last quarter too, meaning they may have borrowed sales from future quarters. Rosenblatt called this a meh quarter with a slow turnaround underway, this turnaround that's been taking a long time. The tone on the call was clear. Intel is staying disciplined on costs. More layoffs are coming. Projects in Germany and Poland are getting scrapped. A plant in Costa Rica is being consolidated. The list continues. But is that enough? I spoke with CFO Dave Zisner yesterday, who told me this really frees up more CapEx to be reallocated to the United States, despite the fact that they're going to be slowing down construction at their Ohio plant. But the street still isn't convinced. Cantor Fitzgerald says there's still, quote, plenty of wood to chop, and the foundry strategy is challenged. CEO Lip Bhutan said Intel will
market's
spend
getting
on
crazy.
if they book customers. Yet in their 10Q yesterday, Intel admits it's willing to
Bot was long at 384, but everything looks like it's gonna go down, so careful with long. I just made my $50 on Apex, so I'm good for the payout now. Thanks, buddy.
staying neutral on stock, but Deutsche Bank says Intel is heading in the right strategic direction, but the turnaround is going to take time until there's real progress. They expect the stock to stay range bound for now. A lot of price targets are just between $20 and $23. The market clearly isn't willing to wait, and that's why you're seeing shares down about 8%, guys.
It's pretty remarkable, Christina. This line I saw from the call, the last year of positive adjusted free cash flow they had, 2021. And they argue this is completely unacceptable. A lot of these problems have been brewing for a long time.
Order submitted.
Yeah, I don't want to...
It's a lower day, but I think we might be able to drop more. That's the thing. Maybe 308's the next stop.
Remove layers of management by 50%. The problem is this is going to take some time. So for investors, are you willing to sit it out for at least 2 to 3 years in this thing, knowing that it's really going to stay within that $20 range? And the lack of AI strategy, I think that's a big part too. The most advanced process, 14A, could get killed in the next 2 years if they don't have any external customers.
Right. Definitely not a position of strength at the moment. Christina, thanks. Busy week. Christina Partsinevelos watching.
Order canceled.
Still to come this morning. MCC chair.
Order canceled.
After the opening bell.
Order canceled.
Finances $8 billion deal.
Order canceled.
President making some remarks as well on his way to Scotland. We'll get you those after a short break.
Connection lost. Order canceled.
Comcast Business Advanced Networking and Security Solutions help turn
Order canceled.
Logistics mastering, supply chain transforming, seamlessly restocking, frictionless paying, poke bowl ordering, cyber securing, bubble access granting, data managing. Welcome to the worlding modern businesses. Powering the engine of modern business, Comcast Business.
You did it. You
Order
took
canceled.
napkin, built a successful business, and made it look easy.
Morning, Gal.
But at US Bank, we remember what went into getting here. The hard work, self-doubt, tough decisions, all those extra hours. But finally enjoying the rewards. Our wealth management team is always here to work with you and every generation to come. Because there's nothing as powerful as the power of us.
Begins with a sheet of paper, a couple of folds, and a simple throw. But for some, the exhilaration and wonder behind flight never fades. At GE Aerospace, we turn what ifs into what's next. Because when the right idea catches the wind, There's no limit to how far the next generation will go. You stand at the forefront of building materials.
Today, Emirates becomes the partner of choice.
Yeah, 10 minutes left.
Solutions foundation to
Maybe we'll get a pump at open. I don't know.
You could get 1 million to coverage, and it only takes about 10 minutes.
You're bad. I'm gonna use the restroom.
Morning. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Wednesday, August 6th, join CNBC's virtual small business playbook event. Real-world insights on navigating volatility and seizing opportunity. Register now at cnbcevents.com/smallbiz.
Hello. It's that long was good. Got my payout now. Yeah. Well, just trying to follow the bot.
17,000 broadband subscribers.
That's good. You still holding it?
Had been anticipated, although when I was looking out there, maybe 90,000 was expected. So you're talking a difference about 27,000 subscribers, and that does seem to be though what.
Well, the last two opens has been a dump. Yeah. But it's up to you. I'm just gonna wait.
They bought back $1.3 billion worth of stock, so it's trading at about 8.5 times forward free cash flow. CapEx, some would believe, is kind of peaking, and then interestingly, and we've been
no news.
the call, which began.
Are you trying to my funded futures?
Chris Winfrey said they're going to save money from the big beautiful bill, like Verizon and AT&T have also.
I need a 3 more hundred for the tick to get my points. I'll be at point number 5. Yeah. Yeah, you were doing so good too.
As much as $1 billion there in terms of their tax bill charter.
4, I think. Yeah.
Care about this at Versant, down 80,000 quarter to quarter. 80,000.
Maybe you should keep that DLL on. Yeah. Well, they don't have any more on my funded futures.
Which is also looking down a bit. Again, it's all about internet subs. There were some storms in the Midwest that may have impacted things. Winfrey said on the call as well.
I mean, the other headwind, of course, is just household creation, isn't it? I mean, we talk all week long about the lock-in effect and lack of mobility.
Added stop loss, yeah.
Housing market is without new creation. Who's going to even sign up for new cable?
Without a doubt, that absolutely has been an issue for years now in terms of cable
and
where things stand. They did add 500,000 wireless subscribers.
I usually used my wrist thing too.
10 million now in terms of where they stand. Yeah, 10.9 million mobile lines, and that's we've been talking about that.
No, they do. I have a stop loss and profit taking on my ATM.
To compete with broadband, maybe where you're seeing some of these losses being more than expected, and then
oh, your risk setting. Yeah, I got you. What's up, Gambit?
Charter, by the way, is the midst of a huge deal. They're part of Cox, but will we see even bigger deals? Will we ever see?
I know, but I got my Apex. No, this is gonna be 550, and then next one I can get 3,500. Yeah, I thought I'm gonna tilt because I needed one more $50 day because they screwed me over.
$7 billion over the next 3 years. $1.5 billion to $2 billion. These guys $1 billion. Those.
I bought long since 80 something for a while. I wanted long, but these wick down been scaring me. But I need to work on my take profit. long at 59.
Order submitted.
We'll see. 59. I have some at 43 low of day and then 25 on my tick tick.
Sophisticated investors, beginning investors, I'm always like closing bell overtime. Weekdays 4 Eastern and streaming on CNBC.
Take one. The $5, $7, and $9 Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell are everything you want and then some. The $5 box, all the classics. Don't ask us to share. The $7 Supreme box, all this for only that? And for when you're like, hit me with something new, the $9 Discovery box, featuring your new obsession, the crispy chicken burrito, saucy crispy perfection. The $5, $7, and $9 Lux Cravings boxes, only from Taco Bell.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
It's like your wits every step of the way.
It's hard to tell. It wants to go down. That's what I'm seeing. And then 15 minutes also want to go down. I need to cancel my long then.
Order canceled.
I don't want to get stuck to that holding.
Order canceled.
Cancel this long.
Order canceled.
What up, Ty?
Order canceled.
They go low at 310 if we hit.
Order submitted.
Let me see where's the levels. Well, 325. We lose 325. 308 will be the next one. 325 is a good long too, so I'll leave a long at 325.
Turns your vision into reality. Think about a future where every student, client, citizen,
Let's hope it hits.
experiences the best service.
Let me show log off my Apex on that one. Get a big win. I'll blow your account. From TPT payouts, right? That's sick. That is sick. That is sick. That's what I'm talking about. Use those payouts to pay off your debt. Did you tell your mom?
Order submitted.
Damn, look at you. That's what I'm talking about.
The future is watching.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta hope you save some money though. Yeah. But don't spend it all because you might need it in case you have like a bad week blowing up. You know what I mean? Yeah, credit cards are the first thing you want to pay off because the interest rate is freaking high. Remember yesterday it dipped, right? Remember yesterday it dipped at open? I think it's gonna do it again.
Tariffs in the first quarter because the majority of products sold was either in inventory or shipped prior to tariffs taking effect.
I'm up $13 on TPT. Get my $13 payout. But nah, I need more.
Order submitted.
That's a try.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
It's not that bad. I'm gonna cancel this one.
Order canceled.
I didn't work on my 150 either. I'm way behind.
submitted.
Oh, that bot long is bad. It would never went green. That's nothing. That's nothing. Nvidia's pumping? Nvidia's dead.
Certainly 15 years ago, in terms of the private markets, both in equity and in credit. And that has meant that they simply were able to stay private longer. That said, I think we can expect to see more as the fall comes, particularly given the overall.
Let me see if the bot's going short. No, not short yet, but it has a downside, so.
Yeah, I don't know what that would look like. I know Patrick
Let me check gold.
wants to take them public, but what? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, gold's dumping too.
It's gonna look a lot better than that.
I think they were doing his opening range, got wrecked. Give us a new lower day. I want a long a little bit there. I don't want to short like this when the bot is long. I mean, the bot can be wrong. Damn. Yeah, 58's a good long. Or not. I'm gonna test some long real quick. Size down though. Do 55
Order submitted.
on my funded features.
Let's see. Let's take a look at the value. Values Synovus at about 1.4 times.
Order filled.
Order filled. Premium.
No, there's no more news.
For regional
Come on, give me
banking
a call.
comps. I'm looking some research here. So about 9.7 times 2026 consensus EPS.
Order submitted.
Order rejected.
Order
Yeah.
filled.
250 million run
That's
rate
scary.
net expense savings and some other adjustments. as
Long
well.
at 40 on the funded.
Order submitted.
To be received in the marketplace. They're going to go with the Pinnacle brand in terms of the name, operated out of Nashville, and they are both largest financial institutions in Tennessee and Georgia, respectively. These two companies. I think it's going to be a split board as well. And again, the overall value based on the unaffected stock price was closer to about $8.5 billion, but it's dropped dramatically.
Order submitted.
Just as of this moment, given
Yeah, I got out too early.
the decline
Oh, well.
is 0.5237 Synovus shares for each Pinnacle share. If you want to do the math out there as well.
We profiled Pinnacle when we did our documentary about the Nashville economy because they did
Look
move
at
the
that.
headquarters. Kind of changed the face of Nashville's local economy when it comes to banks. As for financials, B of A today, biggest 5-week inflow into financials pretty much of the whole year, going back to December. And we know how active they've been leading the earnings season so far.
Well, right. So they kicked off earnings and they kicked it off in a strong way, and the financials went up another 1% this week and have really been beloved. And part of the thesis is around M&A.
So the 3 minutes trying to curve up. 15 minutes still has a downside.
Relatively strong. Loans are finally coming back. There's been a confidence in corporate America.
We did mention yesterday B of A $40 billion buyback. Today Schwab 20. All right, so that's
Schwab's trading at an all-time high. This is a stock. Remember after the collapse of SVB,
Yeah.
Schwab was thought, oh no, next domino to fall. This stuff is like 140% off the lows. And I'll never forget Walt Bettinger, the CEO, coming on that week saying,
insider buys.
I'm buying stock.
Yeah.
I have confidence. This is not our problem. And it's been a tremendous rebound. And confidence in this new $20 billion buyback, which is an increase from the previous
You
one.
do?
It was
Yeah,
like
I
a
kind of
$6
do
to $7 billion
too.
buyback. Week, and
Order
they are,
canceled.
he said that the shorting business, which people were worried about related to that regional bank issue,
Order
is over.
submitted.
Not
2 years ago, we were still talking every day about the concern around commercial real estate. Had an opportunity with PNC CEO earlier this
I'm gonna
week.
draw
to at
long
least look
at maybe
it.
65 if we get down.
What will it mean? How much reserves going to have to come up? What about all these empty
Too many
buildings when they have
traps.
to default? But it has been a slow and steady process, and not one that has in any way truly impacted many of these institutions. I would point out Bank of America, Sarah, because remember a lot of this started in terms of the bond portfolios at some of the institutions you mentioned back in March of 23. They are the laggard here, and maybe it is that still that treasury position. I don't know what else it is. I know you cover the company closely, but you know, JP Morgan's up 24% the stock. Citi is up 35%, Goldman 25%, Wells Fargo 18%. Their shareholders may not be unhappy with a 9% gain this year, but it lags.
But is it that they're less exposed
Order
to capital
held.
markets and investment banking?
Order submitted.
I don't know.
It's usually very sort of more rate sensitive along with Wells Fargo when it comes to, you know, interest income on that side.
So if you look at the European banks, there's an ETF. It's EUFN for the year up 40 versus the XLF.
Yeah, I'm along at 66. Kind of bad. I should have waited to 55 like I wanted. And
Order submitted.
Positioning was so weak against Europe.
yeah, I'm stuck now.
Interest rates. President Trump has been very jealous of the fact that Europe has been lowering interest rates, and it's because they've been in a tougher position. But
Order held.
what is spoken about happens, the EU trade
Order
deal with the
submitted.
U.S. and it results in 15% tariffs, which maybe the market's okay with. That's gonna
Yeah, I
hurt
knew that long
for
was
Europe
bad.
because
Fuck.
that is fundamentally
Order held.
than the tariff rates that they're used to.
Order held. Order held.
We tried to nail down Howard Lutnick yesterday as to whether 15 is some kind of magic number. What we did learn
It just 3 days in a row just dropped.
is pushing the Europeans to get something completed.
Yeah, it opened. Well, I took some profit on that one, but my pro's red.
Keeping an eye on shares of CoreWeave. Again, they announced a deal with Scientific.
Not in there.
Order held.
Holy shit. That long.
The effect for
Yeah.
eliminating potential liabilities, $10 billion of cumulative future lease overhead that they were going to be paying. For example, elimination
Order
of that
submitted.
overhead. Also, another $500 million of estimated fully ramped annual run rate cost savings. But shareholders of Core Scientific not that happy because you can see what's
Yeah, that's we hit a new low today. Ouch.
July 7th. The ratio is 0.1235. What I'm hearing is unrest amongst the Core Scientific
Order held.
shareholders. The presence of perhaps a couple of activists who are going to sort of start
Low day
a vote
30.
down the deal
Order
campaign.
submitted.
Will they actually succeed in that, or really what they're able to do?
You get your free activation credit Monday.
Yeah, we don't have a shareholder vote set. What we do know is CoreWeave's unlock is going to be coming. It could
Yeah,
come
you get
as
the
soon as
pro.
when they
That's the
report
next. That's funded.
earnings in early August or
And then
the
once you it's
September
over the buffer, you can
24th.
just cash out every
But it's gonna
day.
unleash a lot of shares from what was an incredibly successful IPO. Shareholders are going to have all of that to consider because they won't have the vote
Order
until all of
held.
that takes
Got
place.
out
But I
one
did
pro,
want to
still
point
got one more to get out.
I am certainly hearing from some Core Scientific shareholders, given it's not a premium
I haven't averaged down yet. 66. I don't average down to like later.
There's no collar or anything like that on this.
Order submitted.
They're saying, hey, you're going to have to up that ratio, otherwise we're going to vote the deal down. Something to keep an eye on. So, didn't want to do that.
Order
Speaking of
canceled.
M&A, the FCC greenlighting
Order
financial
submitted.
takeover of Paramount. The overall deal, it's a complex deal. We talked about it endlessly. It's around $8 billion. It will leave about 30% or so of the shares outstanding of Paramount when it closes. Joining us now for a first on CNBC, following the approval of the transaction, is the chair of the FCC, Brendan Carr. Brendan, good to see you.
Order submitted.
Oh shit, is my
You know, I
copy
wanted
trader
to
on?
reference
Yes, it is.
some comments from
I know. I want it
Commissioner
on.
Ana Gomez and get your response because
Yeah, 2 accounts at a time.
under the microscope in the sense that we've
For
talked
each
about
firm.
it. Sarah's asked you about it. I've asked you about it previously. the idea that there was a quid pro quo essentially between the FCC
Should have
and the
one
Trump
more long
administration in
at
terms of
300
allowing
if
this
we
deal to go
hit.
forward only after they settled with the Trump
Order
administration.
submitted.
You shorting? Bot hasn't shorted yet, but it might short soon.
Say that they've done things incorrectly in terms of the use of interviews and the like. She wrote, the once independent FCC used its vast power to pressure Paramount to broker a private legal settlement and further erode press freedom. The agency is undermining legitimate efforts to combat
Order
discrimination
submitted.
and expand opportunity by overstepping its authority. And she says, after months of cowardly capitulation to this administration. What's your response to that?
Now, listen, if you step back, what's happening here is, I think President Trump is fundamentally reshaping the media landscape. And the way he's doing that is when he ran for election, he ran directly at these legacy broadcast media outlets, ABC, NBC, CBS. For years, government officials just allowed those entities with execs sitting in Hollywood and New York to dictate the political narrative. And he has fundamentally changed the game. And you see that really having consequences that are just rushing all through media. The thing that was really important to me in all of this was that the new owners of CBS came in and said, it's time for a change.
I just signed you. Hopefully they didn't blow it. His first funding.
Looking at fact-based reporting, they said they're going to get rid of invidious forms of DEI discrimination. At the end of the day, that's what made the difference for us in terms of our review at the agency.
Yeah, and so again, when Ana Gomez writes, you're imposing never-before-seen
Well,
controls
pump
over
it, baby.
newsroom decisions and editorial judgment in direct violation of the First Amendment, you say what?
I think it's time for a change, and the procedures that we put in place in this deal have lots of precedent. For instance, there have been ombudsmans put in place by the FCC before. We're putting a bias ombudsman in place here. We're addressing DEI. The prior
Oh, you got
FCC
caught in a long?
put pro-DEI commitments in different transactions, and so we're unwinding that type of approach. And we're frankly taking a trust but verified perspective here. I think this could go
Sorry,
a
man.
long way in restoring America's trust in media. Again, the media itself, I think, is undermined.
I just need to get out and stay out. Wait for a new low day. But I need 66 to get out.
Sense. These are business decisions at the end of the day. And again, I think it goes back to President Trump because this
Come on, baby.
facade of gatekeeper legitimacy that was conferred on these outlets is going away. We're just seeing a lot of dominoes fall as a result of that.
Did you want to see
The squeeze on the radar has bearish on 3 minutes and then warning on 15 minutes, so maybe another dump after this pump.
The commitments that they made in the FCC record, again, addressing bias, addressing things like DEI, looking to put
Give me out.
local news. Because at the end of the day, trusted
Order
local
canceled.
sources of news
Order
and information
submitted.
Come
are
on, give
really
me out.
important. It's a big counterweight to a lot of the national media out there. In terms of the Colbert thing, again, that was a business decision for the.
Come on, don't be a hoe. Keep going up.
the timing was interesting though. And so was the settlement where the CBS Paramount.
Are you stuck in a long two gambit or no? Yeah, smart.
Are saying this is just bribery. Did that need to happen for you to approve this deal?
It's interesting to me. As the new owners of CBS came in, they made a commitment to making progress.
I'll probably cut it if we hit 62 again.
Trying to move back towards fact-based journalism, and as soon as they did that, Democrats in the House all of a sudden launched an investigation. I guess we can't have that. I guess we can't have a return to fact-based journalism.
The bot switched to short. I'm out.
Things going on here. There was this lawsuit involving President Trump, which was outside of the FCC, didn't have anything to do with us. We had this transaction before us. We also have a news distortion complaint against CBS. The news distortion complaint is still pending at the FCC. We haven't made a final decision on that. But those are three separate things that have been proceeding.
Ooh.
Although, Chair Carr, I mean, Colbert's
Wow.
not making fun of you. They keep talking about journalism and fairness and news, but
Break even.
where is that line between, we all remember Carson
Try to long again at 32 if we hit.
What's
Order
interesting about
submitted.
all this is these late night shows, not just these late night shows, but across the board. It's such a storied history. It's sort of sad to see what's happening to Colbert.
Dang, right when I get out, it's on the pump.
But I think they need to course correction. Frankly, I think the media industry across this country needs a course correction. Again, the American people simply do not trust the mainstream media. And for broadcasters, again, different
Order
than cable,
canceled.
different than podcasts, for broadcasters, they have a federal license and they are obligated to operate in the public interest.
Order
And they said that we're
submitted.
starting to see some changes. I I think that's a good thing. And frankly, I think it'll help restore some of the trust that's been lost with the American people.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Colbert, I think, wins his time slot. It's just the seismic changes that have taken place in terms of the distribution of programming and the competition for it, which you well know about, have changed the dynamic completely in terms of the profitability of many of these shows. What are your expectations for the new Paramount? Do you have any in terms of the new owners and what you expect to see, and or the consolidation that may still need to take place? Some of it may not have anything to do with the FCC, but others of it may.
Yeah, hopefully the trust to verify growth that comes out. I'm hopeful. I really like some of the commitments that
I
they made.
guess all the electronic features people got that account.
Again, to your point, there's really sort of seismic changes taking place across the media landscape. And again, I think it goes back to consumers having more choice, more options. This idea that you only could choose from one of 3 broadcast networks of the years to pass, and what they said was taken as gospel and infallible. That era is ending, and so I think that we're going to continue to see consequences over the coming months and years.
And I can do my future funded giveaway next week.
Yeah. All right. I promised my viewers I'd ask, so I'll just throw this in there because we were talking about Charter earnings recently. Wireless, cable getting into wireless obviously getting with fixed wireless getting into broadband. Is there ever a day you could see coming in front of you the idea of a huge deal such as a Verizon and a Charter? And what would be your thoughts if in fact that was presented to you?
Yeah, but we'll see what comes our way. There's a lot of transactions going on around. It is a very frothy time. And to your point, you've got traditional cable companies that are taking more mobile wireless subscribers and actually mobile wireless. And the opposite is true. You got mobile wireless providers that are getting bigger pieces of the
You must be in the long.
market, dominated by cable than before. There's a lot of disruption, a lot of change. We're looking at everything. We've been doing a lot of discussions with Dish and Charlie Ergen as well. He's got a lot of spectrum there that, frankly, has not been put to the best use in terms of loading the spectrum. So we've been in conversations with him. How do we get that spectrum put to
minis?
Conversations are ongoing.
Yeah, you and I discussed that at Milken as well. I remember that you put a notice out. Thanks, always appreciate it. Yeah,
Okay, it looks like it looks good now. I might go along with a dip again. Give me, give me a drop, baby. See, Apex people are long NASDAQ, long ES, but short down. Oh, I don't know. Looks like it.
Don't matter much anymore, certainly compared to their influence they had not even that long ago.
Right. I mean, Colbert's, this is getting into the weeds, but Colbert's viewership is really not that different from Letterman's back in the day.
380 is getting hard playing Q.
That has collapsed. It's the seismic changes we've talked about every day in terms of what actually gets funded, and the expense and cost of doing the show every day.
You asked about what Paramount's going to look like, and I do think this is an interesting experiment because of David Ellison and who he is and his background. Sort of a digital native running a TV business might be just a good experience. Also, his creative media experience.
Without a doubt. And Larry Ellison, obviously, $6 billion isn't basically going to is the main money behind it. And the question will be at $30 billion and $3.2 billion in EBITDA for Paramount. What's left? What are you really going to do in terms of cost savings, which will be a key for the new management team taking over?
All right, lots to look for there.
I jinxed it.
President Trump in the Oval taking questions.
Yeah, we get all-time high. I'm shorting it again.
Strong dollar, but a weak dollar makes you a hell of a lot more money. Hate to tell you, I don't know if you study it, but I study it. And if you look at the yen, you understand. Oh, you did go. You're a smarter guy than I even thought, and I know you're smart. So, when we have a strong dollar, one thing happens, it sounds good. But you don't do any tourism, you can't sell tractors, you can't sell trucks, you can't sell anything. It is good for inflation. That's about it. And we have no inflation. We've wiped out inflation. But it's an interesting question. So I will never say I like a low currency, but you remember the battles I had with the yuan, with China and with Japan being the yen. They always wanted a weak currency. They're trying to get a weak currency now. Now, it doesn't sound good, but you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar.
I'm not gonna along this area. Of course, higher day. I'm all-time high soon.
When you have a strong dollar, you can't sell anything. It's only good for inflation, and it's good psychologically. It makes you feel good. But with that being said, I love strong dollars.
Dang, I should have kept my wrong. It would have been a nice payout on the TP2. Now on a short, but everything looks good. Oh my God, bot's green. Bot is green. Finally. What's a drawdown on the bot? At 89? It took 50 points. That's not bad, actually. Yeah, usually I hope for like 100, I think 125 points on the bot. Let me see the 3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes got more upside. But 15 minutes still looks like it's gonna dip. It's hard to tell.
All they do is fight for a weak currency. Look at Japan when they were really doing well, had a very weak currency. So, to me, I just say thank you very much. It is great. Well, the Gaza situation, I said this was going to happen when you get down to your last 10 or 20. We got a lot of hostages out. We took them out in numbers that nobody believes, a lot of them. And I said, when you get down to 10 or 20,
on TV.
I don't think Hamas is going to make a deal because that means they have no protection. And basically, that's what happened. Hamas didn't want to make a deal.
Dang.
I think what's going to happen is
Those bear screws got crushed. I do a short at 400. I'm gonna try this short at 99. Eval or something. Crazy pump.
Doesn't matter. Order submitted. Well,
Nice.
the statement doesn't carry any weight.
Order filled. Order supporter filled.
Shit, I'm short now.
We have a 50-50 chance, maybe less than that.
There's no consistency. Just run it up.
Order
There we
filled.
go.
Order filled.
But they want to make a deal very
Order
badly.
submitted.
So far, 400 is good to short.
Order submitted.
And they kept coming back, and we made a deal. And the deal is, don't forget, Japan's
Order
going to get
canceled.
$550 billion.
Order
That's
canceled.
a lot of money. And also paying tariffs. The
Order
biggest part of the
submitted.
Japan deal, and maybe we get this with the EU, maybe we
Order
don't,
submitted.
is that we have the right to go in and trade. We have the right. They totally opened Japan to the just in the U.S. That's to me the biggest part of the deal. Well, that's how you said repeatedly you would like to see Trump and nuclear arms reductions between the United States and Russia. Expiring in about 6 months, and it cannot be legally standard. That's a problem. That's a problem for the world.
So I'm not longing no more. I'm shorting if it hits.
They have restrictions, as you know, on nuclear. That's not an agreement you want expiring. We're starting to work on that. But that is
Order
big
filled.
problem.
Order filled. Order submitted.
Restriction. That's a big
Dang.
problem.
Ouch, my short.
had a very good meeting on interest rates, and he said to me, now I don't know if he's going to say this on Thursday or with everything, but he said to me very strongly, the country is doing well. He said, congratulations. The country is doing really
Order
well.
submitted.
No, Powell didn't say that.
To me, that I think he's going to start recommending already.
This Trump is an idiot.
Mr. President, how do you think that the Supreme Court's ruling that benefited you on presidential immunity would
Order
apply
canceled.
to former President Barack Obama and what you're accusing him of doing?
It probably helps him a lot.
Order submitted.
Probably helps him a lot, the immunity ruling. But it doesn't help the people around him at all. But it probably helps him a lot. He's done
55 points under law.
Probably helps him a lot. Obama owes me big. We want to talk about certain aspects which is going to be good for both countries. More fine-tuning, and also we're going to do a little celebrating together because, you know, we got along very well. UK's been
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
We got it done. He's doing a very good job. Good prime minister.
Order
Good guy.
submitted.
We really get along very well. So we're going to
Really
be
short.
in Nuremberg and we're going to meet at Aberdeen.
Order submitted.
So two beautiful places.
Order submitted.
Got out too early in that short.
But I can't tell you what I talked to him about. But it was sort of disappointing, although I told you.
I got out already. Yeah, I only take 5 points. Yeah.
It's going to be very hard for Hamas to make a deal because they lose their shield, they lose their cover. We got a lot of them out, a lot of them. We took a lot of bodies out.
Are you cooking L?
So many of the parents said, please get my son's body back. And we're able to do that.
Okay,
There are a lot of
good.
people out, live and people that are not alive. But it was very important to the
Why do
parents
you need
to get
those
their son
other
back.
eval before you mess up your 150?
Order submitted.
Oh yeah.
They will do that. Herbert's the number one force in the world. I think they'll do that, yeah. Are you going to talk to anybody? No, I'm not going to. It's not about that. I'm going to see it for the first time.
Give me another pump jack and short.
Order canceled.
It's the best resort in the world.
They're gonna drop more. I'm gonna wait till over 400 again.
Order submitted.
The prime minister and I get along very well.
TTM looks like it's getting weak.
The president a few moments ago outside the White House talking about
Trump
a
is
number of
done.
issues. His meeting with the Fed chair yesterday, the prospect of a weaker dollar, Gaza, Macron, hostage deal potentially. But maybe most importantly, Megan Casella, would be this notion about a deal with trade between the U.S. and the EU. He put it at 50-50 and maybe a little bit less.
Yes, Carl, that's what
See, 3 minutes still looks like I'm more upside. Oh shit, 15 minutes looks like I'm more upside too. Let me cancel this short.
Order canceled.
I wanna touch the
He
pro.
also used phrasing that I thought was very interesting. He said the EU might, quote, have to buy down their tariffs. And then he spoke about how
Why
much
was shorting when the bot's long?
is investing in the U.S., that $550 billion. That's what led them to that 15% tariff. So as we've been talking about this week, 15% seems like the floor, and it seems like it has to come with some level of investment. We haven't heard officials
Would drop
yet
more, maybe in the 60 on like long.
to do, but the president seems to be saying here that's what he needs to see in order to reach some sort of a deal.
Yeah.
What stood out to me is that he didn't bash Powell. He
We're
didn't say
towards all-time highs, so I hate that. Oh, Tesla's running now. Yeah, it's up almost 3%.
Order filled. Order submitted.
But then he said maybe that'll lead him to lower interest rates next week, and I don't think that's going to happen. But Megan, maybe that visit actually softened things.
There we go.
Order filled.
So interesting. It definitely seems like it.
Order
Even yesterday,
submitted.
as the visit was
Yeah,
ongoing,
it was short.
yes, there was the discussion at the very start over whether to include the cost of the third building. But by the time he was taking questions from reporters at the construction site, the president
Yeah, I'm
was
not
saying then
touching
that he
Tesla.
didn't think it seemed necessary to fire the Fed chair. And as you said, here he's saying that Powell congratulated him on how well things were going, said the country was doing well, and Trump says he took that to mean
I
that
was
maybe
red on a
Powell
pro,
is
now I'm
willing
up
to
$18
lower
for a
interest rates.
payout.
He didn't say
I'm trying to
Powell
get
said
50
he
though.
was there. But you're
Let me
right. I
show
think a
that.
lot of people
Order
thought
submitted.
that
07.
yesterday's big show at the Fed was going to make
Yeah,
things
yeah. I don't want a long way from
escalate
hitting the
things
buffer. I'm
further.
like
The
400
president might
away.
look at things that he didn't like
I'm close to passing the
and then say
50K.
maybe this is cause for firing. But
The
clearly it went the
150K,
opposite
I'm
direction,
2,000
and
under. on the starting money.
Filled.
First question, but it
Order
seemed like it was something
submitted.
like
No, 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 no. You have 30
Order
days.
filled.
Oh, shit.
really rough first half. It's down 10%
Order filled.
for the year. And his response is, I think something
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
but he's not worried because the weaker dollar is actually very helpful.
Order
When it comes to
submitted.
growth and when it comes to
Order
earnings, and that's
submitted.
been the story. I think it's part of why the market's been so enthusiastic and
Order
celebratory
submitted.
lately. The weaker dollar does translate
Order
into
submitted.
better earnings, and
It might.
there's some concerns about an unwind of U.S. exceptionalism, but ultimately, we've had enough commentary from pros saying U.S. is still where it's at.
I thought that was a fascinating exchange. It was a very long answer from the president, and he actually took some follow-ups on the dollar as well. He was saying it doesn't sound good, but you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar. When you have a strong dollar, you can't sell anything. And he was acknowledging that he can't come out and say he wants a weaker dollar. He even said, oh, you see a headline, the president wants a weak dollar. He's saying, no, that's not what I want. A strong dollar
Order
is
submitted.
better. But then he went on to talk about all the benefits of a weak dollar. He also talked about the fights that he's had with Japan and China in the first term, about when their currency has weakened, and talk about China being a currency manipulator.
Damn, that was a good short, too.
I don't want that, but at the same time, he doesn't hate when dollar. He says doesn't get weak, but weaker could be a good thing.
Everybody secretly wants a weaker currency, but a stable currency. I think Trump includes. Megan, thank you.
Let's get some reaction from Apollo Global Management's Torsten Slot, who joins us here at Post-9. Happy Friday, T. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Were you able to hear some of the president's comments?
Heard all of it.
What's your initial reaction?
Well, I think he's absolutely right on the dollar. As Sarah was just saying, we don't want a weak dollar, we want a weaker dollar. So the point here is he makes through all the macroeconomic reasons why a dollar going down is good for manufacturing, it's good for revenues in the S&P 500, about 30% of revenues in the S&P 500 comes from abroad. But he also did talk about when the dollar goes down, you do get more inflation. And the Fed's model of the U.S. economy will tell you that the 10% depreciation of the dollar so far this year is going to lift inflation over the next 9 months by roughly almost a half a percentage point. So that means that the challenge here is when the dollar goes down, and you already have inflation well above the Fed target, it's of course that the risk is that inflation could be moving higher. But I do think the dollar comment is very important because it is emphasizing that there is no free lunch in macroeconomics. You get something you benefit from if the dollar goes down, but you're hurt on the other side by the risk being that inflation could go up.
The other chart that's floating around today is about money supply at M2, which I think is now growing again at the fastest rate since, 22?
There's a lot of liquidity out there still hunting assets, hunting yield, hunting the S&P 500, absolutely.
So does that affect your inflation expectations or
What are you guys doing? Nothing?
yield expectations?
Well, so the discussion also that Trump here mentioned about with Powell, I mean, it's absolutely correct when Powell says the economy has done actually really well up to this point. And that's why the debate in markets and the debate, of course, in the forecast is, will we get this slowdown that the economists and the Fed themselves have been forecasting? Or is it sentiment improvements that we've had since April? Are they enough for the S&P to continue to go up? Or should we begin to worry about that? Well, yes, things may still be good, but we still have headwinds coming from the thing coming through the pipeline on tariff. We still have the headwinds coming from student loan payments restarting. We still have the headwinds from a broad range of things with the consumer being pressured by the level of high rates, holding things down. So on the overall outlook, yes, sentiment is better, but the Fed still has a forecast.
Damn it, you want to watch Fantastic Four with my boy tomorrow? Fuck you then. See, I invited you. I was gonna pay for your movie, your popcorn, your pizza, but no, fuck you.
Absolutely. So the consensus expects 100,000 next Friday, and that's of course very important because that's still steady job growth. But exactly as you're saying, the last few months we've seen private sector job growth slow down, and that's
What?
worrying because the private sector job growth is the most important.
Yeah, you're losing, man. Grow the fuck up.
And the fact that at the same time, deportations running at Trump's
Those things are getting old.
3,000 is the goal to deport every day. If you annualize that, that brings you to deportations of around 1 million people at an annual rate. If you remove people from the labor force, that also ultimately begins to have consequences for job growth. So job growth could potentially be going down over the next several months simply because deportations is running at this very high rate.
I guess it's not spending much money on marketing. I don't see commercial about it.
That's exactly right. So the unemployment rate could also be going down because now there's simply fewer people that are unemployed if you shrink the size of the labor force. But you're right. We calculate
I think a lot of people blowing up today with that long and short.
It's close to around 70,000.
Whoa, what was that? I almost hit my short. Going to 402 and had a short of 405. Wow. What the hell? Let me see the news. I don't know. That's a Trump's. No, there's no news.
So importantly, Powell has said at 3 different instances. He said
So I guess Canada?
Portugal. He said also at the press conference. He also said at
He's
the
been
hearings
picking on Canada non-stop.
we expect a meaningful increase in inflation over the next several months. And if you look at the good side of the CPI index, you are beginning to see more of that move higher. You saw footwear, apparel, toys, tools, everything that is imported did begin to see a more meaningful rise.
Moving the headline.
Understood, but as you go
I need to work on my trade
moving lower, so now it becomes a horse race where goods is moving higher and services is generally moving lower. And the question is, will that goods increase be so strong over the next several months that
Order canceled.
But you have to admit, the goods isn't as strong as expected.
Order submitted.
Because a lot of the manufacturers are eating it.
Well, so if that's the case, then this earnings season would have been a lot worse. So, and that's up to this point, this earnings season has actually been surprisingly good. So
Companies are in great shape.
well, so someone has to. So at the moment, we're paying, broadly speaking, about 400 billion in annually tariffs to the government. So someone is paying 400 billion. Either it's consumers through higher prices, and if that's not happening, then it's definitely earnings that are going down, and companies through lower earnings.
What are your expectations then?
How
How does that play out? Because there is a belief that, well, corporations need to see where it finally levels out to really make those decisions. And they want to wait a bit. They don't want to come in the crosshairs of the president right now, but ultimately they will raise prices.
Absolutely. So I do expect that growth and earnings will slow down, and we will begin to see that next week and the following week with some of the retailers, some of the names in the S&P 500 begin to report. I mean, Walmart did say.
I'm not sure because I don't pay for anything.
So you should expect margins are very, very thin in retail. You should expect to me that for retailers,
I just take free stuff.
under pressure. So that means that margins for retailers, especially,
Oye, está Gambit?
impacted by, of course, tariffs should begin to go down over the
I'm not gonna buy Black Box again, ever. That's a waste of money. That was expensive too. It doesn't really help. Those, yeah. It was yeah, about 1900.
Just keeping our tax rates last year at the same level as it will be next year. So in that sense, there was no boost to consumption, no boost to capex because of lower taxes. Taxes last year will be exactly the same as they will be next year. So there's no difference in what tax rates will be doing. So that's why the capital depreciation, it will help to some degree, but most estimates said that this will only lift GDP by 0.2, 0.3. So compared to the $3.5 trillion that this is going to cost,
I'm sure they only hit 405.
Impact on GDP overall. That's why people worry much more about what's coming in the pipeline in terms of negative impact on earnings from the tariffs hit.
On capex, we've spent a lot of time this week talking about the
I do think we'll get a new all-time high today.
capex forecasts are growing. But Richmond Fed this week and
Yeah,
Kansas
I
City
see any ER today.
in some cases near cycle lows. How can both things be true?
No ER. How did Intel do?
Companies are basically saying we're holding back in the next 6 months with capex spending.
Intel's red 10%. Dang, I should have got puts. I knew Intel sucks.
In so many different ways.
Yeah. Oh shit, I got too short.
Order submitted.
Hold up the overall business.
No, I didn't buy. I was waiting for lower.
Or is there a risk that the broader economy
Order filled.
is at risk of beginning to feel
Order
the impact,
canceled.
especially
Order
of
submitted.
uncertainty. So I absolutely believe that the slowdown in capex will be coming from
Order
the
filled.
impact from tariffs continuously hitting over the next several quarters. There is no free lunch. We cannot have that the government raises $400 billion from someone paying higher taxes
Order
and then it doesn't show
submitted.
up in the economy. That's not
Order
how it works.
filled.
Consumers pay through higher prices.
Order submitted.
Companies pay
damn.
through lower earnings.
Or suppliers abroad pay. I mean, this is what the Treasury is arguing, is that, you know, it's the Chinese companies or, you know, wherever, the Vietnamese companies.
I'm in a short already. 4.8, 4.10, and 4.05. And I'm mounting some.
If that were true, import prices would be moving
Order
differently.
filled.
There we go.
Put less
I'm
weight on
talking
that
about
argument.
fuck
I
you,
do
bulls.
absolutely believe that the dollar and the discussion, of course, that Trump put up here is very, very important because you could potentially neutralize tariffs completely by depreciating your exchange rate. So if now the goal is to depreciate the dollar, then that will of course
Order
be helping
submitted.
in terms of.
So you're sticking with stagflation, even though the data is not with
It's
you.
not only me, the Fed's forecast is also expectation built into
Order
the
submitted.
consensus forecast. So this is why the key number for next week is absolutely
Order
important.
can't.
If
Order
we still have a
submitted.
strong labor market, we will still have this good discussion. But if we do begin to see some weakness, of course, then it's a whole different conversation.
I mean, still got more upside from what I'm looking at.
Seriously, it's when, like, 6 months from now, a year from now,
Throwing the towel on stagflation.
That all depends on how long time will it take
Yeah.
companies to realize that these tariffs are here permanently. This is not just about
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Everything's heading short for me.
Even Trump and Benson have talked about this. We have to go through a period of detox. We haven't even started this detox period if you look at it from an earnings and a GDP perspective. So the question is, how long time will it take before companies get to that end of that detox and that adjustment period to a new world where tariffs are higher?
By detox, you mean the delevering of public and the relevering of private?
Well, basically mean that if I used to buy something in China, and I need to buy it from Vietnam,
Order. 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 Order filled. Order filled.
Can I find ways of finding other sources and other vendors than buying things from China? So that
Okay, I'm up 200 on ETF. I need to make 300, right? 300 a day, 400 a day.
Where do we get our goods
Order
if we no longer
submitted.
get them from China?
Certainly, his comments just now.
Yeah,
about
okay.
Canada
I want more.
are reassuring about a deal. These rates slingshot a week from today.
Let me
Right, correct. And that's why the
try to get a little bit more.
to get behind us, and of course, Section 899 also behind us. I actually think the dollar will begin to go up. Because now we have this whole discussion about Mar-a-Lago, Section 899
Order
is no
submitted.
longer as significant in the marketplace. So now we instead have, well, maybe interest rates are higher for longer, and maybe the economy is strong, and that will attract more money. The U.S. is still the most
Order
dynamic and
submitted.
most incredible economy in the world, and the rest of the world is not delivering much alternatives
Good
in
shit,
terms
man.
of investment opportunities. So that's why the U.S. will still benefit from the rest
Wait,
of the world.
the
putting
ETF,
into the US.
1700?
A few weeks ago for
And then over your limit? I thought, oh, total. Okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah, I thought I'm talking about one day. Okay. I'm at 900 now, total.
So thanks. Good to see you. Thanks a lot.
After the break, tech investor Dan Niles with his favorite
Yeah.
and a huge week of earnings.
It's cheap. We can't complain. It's so cheap. I'm out. Everything's out. I gotta go pee. I'll be back.
President Trump lays out the odds of that EU trade deal.
And some signals from the high end. We'll talk about what luxury retailers said this week about demand as a big hour squawk on the street continues after this break.
Is this your dream of retirement? How about fishing tables? I like fishing. Or is this a little more your style?
You already logged out of it.
Retiring wealth isn't a guarantee. It's a goal. It's easy when markets are going up. But what about when they're not? That's why you need this. Call for Fisher's Retirement Survival Kit, featuring your guide to surviving market volatility, our stock market outlook, plus the Fisher Investments Difference. 3 indispensable guides, yours free for calling 1-800-213-5317. Fisher Investments' disciplined approach will help see you through the market's ups and downs and give you the confidence you need to reach a comfortable retirement. And our fees are structured so
Right.
our clients develop. Call now for your free retirement survival kit. 1-800-213-5317. See if your dream retirement is on track. If your portfolio is $1 million or more, call Fisher today. Call 1-800-213-5317.
I grew up a news junkie. It's really the only thing I ever wanted to do. I like holding people to account. You can't just show up and say, I like XYZ stock, because I'm going to ask you why. And then if you say you sold it, I'm going to say, well, why'd you sell? Get away from talking your book and tell me the real story. Ambition is a fuel and a fire. They call me the judge for a reason. I'm supposed to make people squirm as long as I get the goods at the end of the day. We're talking about people's money. I feel the weight of that, the responsibility, and I love it.
Order submitted.
Some things are just better at home, like picking out new floors. For a limited time, get up to 40% off your entire project during our summer savings event.
Etsy for original items, like these personalized teas under $40, or vintage glassware sets under $50. And picked by a real person.
I'm gonna reshort again if it hits.
Starts on Etsy.
Big tech will be front center again next week. Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon report quarterly results. Niles Investment Management founder Dan Niles joins us now with his outlook. It's good to see you, Dan. So how would you be positioning, given we've seen
3 minutes, still got some upside, so it's gonna go back up. But I'm not gonna long it. Fortunately, there. I'm not high, but all-time high.
Even if numbers are great, you might not have a lot of upside, right? So Netflix stock's down 5% the day after they report, it's down 2% since that. And if you look at yesterday,
I need 1,000 to pass the trade day, but I can't get it today. I think the max I can make is not under. Yeah, so I'm trying to get. Yeah, I'm trying to get 52,500 today, and then try to pass it Monday. Then I'm gonna buy some more before the sales end.
They just reiterated guidance. The stock's down 8% yesterday. Honeywell, Dover, they were down 6%.
Oh yeah. Lynn told me about that. Now you still got the cheat sheets, right? The answer for those. Okay. I need that. Thank you.
See the stock reaction and what you exactly said, Sarah.
That's so stupid. You have to take a test. I forgot about that.
It's a consensus. So that's kind of a big picture.
Do you like more than others? I think Microsoft was one you were.
Absolutely. Yeah. So specifically, Microsoft, I think, is the best one, partly because they had such a rough time last year. If you go back to last year, when they reported the June quarter, Azure was a disappointment. And they reported the September quarter, Azure was a disappointment. They reported the December quarter, Azure was a disappointment. Then they did the Stargate deal where they restructured their agreement with OpenAI. And the March quarter, they actually saw Azure re-accelerate. It grew 2% faster than it did in the December quarter.
Tight left.
And I think you're going to see that continued benefit.
Come on, give me another pump so I can short. I love shorting now.
Now China comes back into the models when it got.
Yeah, but bot's good enough. It took enough points long.
Strong, driven by inference.
I think bot's got. Yeah, 50 points.
We all want answers to our questions, right? We don't care about the training. So I think you're going to see that continue to do well. Obviously, they're off quarter, but the ones I'm concerned about are the ones that you potentially have tariff-related impacts that could skew what the guidance looks like. Because the issues with a lot of these reports have been, well, if you're saying there's a pull-in, you've got a problem. So Amazon, obviously, lots of products sourced from China. I'm sure the quarters are all good for all of these companies, but like an Apple, like what do they say about pull-ins? Even though I'm sure they're gonna have a great quarter as well. And so Microsoft, by far, my favorite for next week. Obviously, everybody expects good results, which is the one concern. And then NVIDIA, those are the two favorites of the Mag 7 that I have.
Hey, Dan, it's David. I want to come back to something you'd said, which is positioning. We sort of hear it here and there as an, as a excuse for.
What's going on with YM? Is it bad?
I mean, you got all these
Let me see.
pod groups that
No, everybody's long in YM.
Some of the other firms, handful of people who basically are trying. Explain why it's important. I don't know to what extent you're kind of, you view it before sort of trying to figure out how something's going to move after earnings. Because to your point, Alphabet numbers would have appeared to have been strongly met, given it was a very good quarter on a lot of the metrics that are followed.
Yeah, and it's never quite as simple.
I
David, so I kind of
need
look at
419 is short. So come on, keep pumping so I can short.
you're like, it's only 1%. Now, with Alphabet, you can say, well, I do have a judge's ruling
I should just short one instead of two.
Order
No, I
canceled.
messed up my pro.
So
Under 410.
Order submitted.
No, I changed it. I had two at 419, but I'm gonna put one at 410 in case I have to average down. Yeah.
But then you look at, Honeywell, Dover, Flextronics, Netflix, which really started this off last week, right? Where it dropped 5% the next day. That's down another 2% since then.
228.
And you look at this week,
Order
and I was looking
submitted.
at that coming in. Healthcare, energy, and real estate are all up 2 to 3% this week. Excluding today. And you go to the S&P
I know.
up 1. And so you're definitely
Give it
getting
time.
these interesting situations where you're seeing the market having problems with maybe some of the winners coming in, but then rotating into laggards like healthcare, which is up like 3% in 4 days.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. They're
I
running
do
out of
think-
buying. Yeah. Now, you mentioned Apple a couple of times. I'm curious your thoughts there, specifically whether they're going to be hit by tariffs.
Dang, Van is doing good. Look at him.
That remains.
Look at those apex.
With Apple, it's pretty clear there's a pull forward demand.
My investment feels good now.
We'll see. But you're going to see a full impact of that on the market, or more full impact of that as you get into
Damn, he got 5 more days. I know, but 5 days, just one red day can just kill everything.
December. So for all these names, and Amazon's the other one, right?
I know.
It's going to impact Q3, even though probably not much of an impact in Q2, because the CEO has said there was a lot of pull forward from suppliers to get in front of the tariff, so probably not an impact on margins in Q2, but probably into Q3. With Apple, I mean, to some degree, the best thing is that they've been so bad the last 3 years, right? Revenues are up 5% in total over the last 3 years. The stock's up 20% since the end of 2021. The Information Technology Index is up 69%, the S&P's up 34%. They're woefully behind in AI, and if they would just spend $30 billion to go buy Perplexity, right? They're planning on buying back $100 billion worth of stock. A 1% move in that stock,
Did your son stop trading?
$1 trillion in market cap, would more than offset the cost.
Did he stop trading, your son?
Somewhat credible in AI, which they completely are not. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're smart enough to do that, given their last big acquisition was Beats. But
$3 billion. Yeah, I know. Everybody wants them to buy.
Dude, we keep doing it, and he can make a bunch of money.
Dan, really quick, we've been talking a lot about memes this week and specs. And
Shit, I need to work on my. Yeah, I need to work on my tick tick. 3 more 100.
Well, my thing is this, right? I have zero problems taking advantage of me. And I think you're in that phase that you brought up, right? Bitcoin, SPACs are back, meme stocks are back, and you can look at 2022, right? Inflation's transitory. S&P's up 27%.
Now we're just chopping.
Next year, not so transitory, and the S&P's down 19%. Everybody's expecting the Fed to cut. They've said in their CP they're going to cut twice. This market's highly addicted to easy money, and you're seeing the IPOs come back, all the speculative activity back, and so that's why I think the overall market, you're in the melt-up phase, and I could see this continuing until you get to about Thanksgiving, when a lot of the stuff we're just talking about, pulling on demand, tariff impacts, etc. At some point, if you bought all the stuff you needed, a car, a cell phone, a PC, Intel talked about a pull forward on their call last night, you're not going to be buying that in the fourth quarter. And so I think, again, I see a big problem for the market between Thanksgiving and the end of the year as we figure out, hey, you know what? Retail demand's not so great as we thought. Tariffs are taking a bite out of margins. And much like you saw, 2022 looked a lot different than 2021. The mania that you're seeing right now, which I think continues, and that's what I'm positioned for, you're going to have a huge issue, just like when the calendar year turned over from 21 to 22. Come Thanksgiving.
But are you buying the meme stocks? That's how you're positioned?
No, not meme stocks, but you move a little bit out on the risk curve. So
defense technology names where there's some real reasons you can like them, right? If Europe's going to spend 5% of GDP on defense technology, we know how well drones have done in China, in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, also the Middle East conflict, and you say, all right, well, yeah, I don't like the valuations, and as you know, I'm very valuation-centric, but there's a real reason to like this. There's a lot more spending in the space, even if the valuations here, it's not something you're particularly happy.
Yeah, I thought you were going to make the case for open door or something. Dan, thank you very much.
Don't ever have me on if I do that again.
Okay, deal.
Still ahead this morning, automakers are in focus as VW warns this morning about a big hit from the tariffs. And the president now gives 50-50 odds for a trade deal with the EU. We'll talk to former Ford CEO Mark Fields in a moment to discuss. Up next, another turn at this saga regarding Sarepta. Shares down again, this time on news out of Europe. We'll get to that. Let's go off of the street continues.
So you told for a time, think you're rock stars? That's as ridiculous as us being corporate types. Let's begin. Rockstar move using Workday to handle all our AI agents.
Well, watch me handle my agent, Gary. Bubbly water.
Man, you're doing good, but a Tradify, is that after payout? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. They're gonna put you live soon.
Be here sooner than you think. I predict this stock bull market will
No more Tradify freebies for me next month.
I believe another epic stock crash is coming for the markets.
I did. I got 0. The only 2 credits I got was a reset from somebody, but no new buys, nothing. Did I show you the screenshot? I think I did. Let me show you. I'll put it in the chat. There's nothing to hide. Yeah, because they say everything is fine, it's updated. The one sell I had was the CEO testing it out, and the other 2 is just a reset. But ever since that, nothing, like no new buying. That's odd. And I try to promote them a couple of days in a row just to test it out. No clicks, nothing. I don't know. Yeah, Tradify, yeah. Yeah. I'll try to promote again next week, see if I get anything. But if I don't get anything next week, then something's wrong. It's hard to tell if it's wrong or not, you know what I mean?
90% chance the market will end the year up in 2025, backed by historical data, before crashing in 2026. Look, if you have money in the markets, you must know 2 critical things right now. First, what to own in 2025 as the market continues higher. And second, exactly when the markets are likely to crash in 2026. I put together a free presentation that explains everything, including the exact month stocks are most likely to crash next year. You can watch my new presentation free of charge. To learn more, visit the website below.
Start streaming. Go to CNBC.com/plus now.
Every day, I'm checking the markets throughout the trading session, working the phones, talking to sources to share insights, information, and all of the details that you need to make money.
Closing bell overtime for Easter and streaming on CNBC Plus.
30 minutes into the trading session, some big news we're watching this morning. Fresh results across retail and food. Higher Hoka and UGG sales boosting shares of Deckers. AutoNation execs warning on the call there might be some pressure on new car sale volumes in the second half. And Boston Beer is higher on better than feared numbers. A complete reversal for shares of Centene after the surprise loss on the quarter.
Come on, give me 410.
Some double-digit declines before the bell.
Let me
And speaking
check.
of healthcare, shares of Sarepta under pressure yet again. Now down again, 90% just this
Wow, so
year.
15 minutes got way more upside in 15 minutes. It hit.
Recommending not to approve the company's gene therapy for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The European Medicines Agency is saying that Elevidys failed to prove that it can improve movement abilities after 1 year. Now, Roche, who sells Elevidys outside of the U.S., can appeal the recommendation, and in a statement it said that it will continue dialogue with the EMA to explore the potential path forward.
Order
EMA's Brian Abrahams pointed
And
out
I'm
that
out.
this is a huge opportunity
for Sarepta since they would only receive the royalties from Roche. But the effect of any loss of near-term cash flow are amplified by the challenging cash situation, and that's the real issue here. Every negative headline is hammering the stock, of course, but cash is the main problem that Sarepta is facing right now. Remember, just last week, the company announced that it was cutting $400 million in annual expenses to shore up its financial position, but that was based on the assumption that Elevidys would do at least $500 million a year in sales, and now Sarepta isn't even shipping Elevidys. And it's not clear what the FDA needs from Sarepta to reintroduce the therapy if the FDA lets it return to the market at all. The time is not on Sarepta's side here. They might need to make more cuts to keep accessing a $600 million revolver, and Sarepta has about $1 billion of convertible notes coming due in 2027. Sounds like it's far away, but it's only 2 years from now, guys.
All right, it's gotten pretty ugly. Thank you, Angelica Peoples. Time now for a CNBC News update. Julia Boorstin has that for us. Morning, Julia.
Morning, Sarah.
If you max, then don't do it if you maxed out.
For a ceasefire hostage release in Gaza. His comments came one day after his Middle East
Oh, what? I think I got more.
And after Israel said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said today that Israel and the U.S. are now alternative options to bring home hostages. Hamas, meanwhile, says negotiations are making progress.
If you test the link, does the auto put my code in or you have to manually type it in?
Delaying Maxwell for a second time today. The two met for several hours on Thursday as the
Oh, so the link
Maxwell for more
doesn't
information
actually
on
put the
Epstein's
code in
case.
itself?
And George Santos, the disgraced former New York representative, will report to prison today to begin his 7-year fraud sentence. Santos entered a guilty plea last summer to deceiving donors and stealing people's identities
Yeah, that's a
in
good
order
short
to
for me.
fund his congressional campaign. He must report to federal prison before 2 p.m. It's not clear where he will serve his
job.
time. Back over to you, Sarah.
Okay, Julia, thank you. After this, as we've been saying, meme stocks catching fire again this week, but it was a different story for Bitcoin, which pulled back actually from record highs. What investors need to know next? And are consumer concerns overblown? We'll look at the signals from the luxury market. Also, check out Charter. David's been all over this.
Well, I see you click the link. It did track the click. It said 1 click now. I'm at $31 gambit on TPT.
For plant-based, healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand that stands above. It's Superbeats by Human, the #1 doctor.
Buy another one at 413 if we hit again.
Free month with your first order at Live
I just can't long over 400 because of the all-time high. It's just me.
Doing things the hard way, like doing their finances with a spreadsheet instead of using Quicken. Quicken pulls all your financial info together in one place and updates it automatically. How easy is that?
Goldilocks needs a place of her own. It's fast.
Oh, you do?
They update
That
the routine every 2 minutes. And with so many options, she's bound to find exactly what
But
she
it doesn't give you a default code like Tradify code, right? Okay, good. If it does, that's where it messed up.
To get new uniforms with all the locations. He found great products, uploaded new art, and had
Whoa! Oh shit! Shit! Everything's hitting. Holy fuck! That's some good short. Tell me you short, Gambit. It hit. My short, it hit and made up 200 bucks. It hit and it took profit for like within seconds. Let me show you. Holy shit, that was nice. Oh, you don't? I always do that. I need 4 more hundred on trade day. I need 2 more hundred on tick tick. Let me do that again. That was a nice short again. That is wild. I think I'm done with day trader. I'm trying to get a stupid payout. What happened? What? Can you screenshot that for me? It won't take the payment? What? Hey, that's why. I'm telling you, man.
Applebee's 2 for $25. Get 1 appetizer, 2 entrees like the new chicken parmesan fettuccine.
Choose 1 appetizer and 2 entrees. Applebee's iconic 2 for $25.
Sorry, were we in that truck?
Kiss my heart.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Let's get a check on crypto today. Bitcoin prices sliding a bit overnight after a big run up in July, as you know, ahead of both the Fed meeting and long-awaited crypto policy report on Wednesday. According to the administration's crypto task force, that
Order
report will be
submitted.
ahead of recommendations around potential regulation ahead, including the feasibility of a strategic national stockpile.
Alright, I'm gonna stop Elite up 400. I'm not gonna touch that anymore.
Digital asset holdings are currently worth about $1.25 billion.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me send this to them.
A new piece on CNBC.com looks at the money they left on the table, though, after they sold 3/4 of their holdings in 22. You can check out the full story on CNBC.com. I did peek at that, and I think if they had held everything, it wouldn't be $1.25 billion. It'd be worth about $5.
Ooh, they could use that.
Yes.
They could use that, particularly as the carbon credits and everything else comes off. Did want to mention MicroStrategy real quickly as well, because they did this perpetual preferred. Interesting piece of paper. Morgan Stanley, the underwriter, they were going to come with the expectation of about $500 million they would raise. They raised $2.5 billion.
So when you click the link, it won't let you buy, right? But can you buy without clicking the link?
It pays monthly, and it guarantees par. It's an interesting piece of paper. A lot of demand, obviously, for a company.
Can you try that and see if it works?
$71 billion worth of Bitcoin. So we pointed out many times, the market cap is far above in excess of the 71.
Yeah, try that.
And they've obviously been issuing the converts to help fund their purchases of Bitcoin. They got about 8.2 billion in converts out there, $3 billion in money, but having no problem.
That's a lot more Bitcoin they can buy now.
Yeah, no problem raising money at all. Obviously, just backed by the Bitcoin as well. Also wanted to move on to one of the big movers you just saw moments ago. That is Charter. It is down, it's kind of astounding, 18+% right now. Excuse me, 17.8%. Had been down as much as 18% at the absolute lows after the company reported earnings that are not being met well by investors. Maybe it's positioning, a la Dan Niles. A lot of these pods that were long the stock coming in, I'm not sure. It's that number there on the left. 117,000 was the loss of internet subscribers. That's broadband. That's worrisome. How often have I sat here talking with Carl and Jim every day about fixed wireless and the additions? We saw it with T-Mobile quarter. We saw it with AT&T unexpectedly, given how much they're focused on fiber, but they added 200,000 fixed wireless subs. We've seen it as well with Verizon. It's taking a toll, one would have to believe. Despite the fact that Chris Winfrey, the company's CEO, says we will get back to adding internet subscribers. At least he said that on the call. They are not right now. That is clearly a concern. On the video front, not nearly as important, but not unimportant. Only a loss of 80,000 subs quarter to quarter. Actually, not that bad in terms of where things stand there. But not to mention the big, beautiful bill, which is reducing their tax bill at Charter, but is also reducing the tax bills of their competitors, namely the likes of AT&T. And what are they doing with that money? They're accelerating their build-out of fiber that is competing against Charter. And so, well, I guess a lot of questions right now in terms of their ability to get back to adding subscribers, the broadband subscribers that are so important to its business. It's having an impact across the board, as you see right there. Our parent company, Comcast, shares down almost 6%. You can see Altice as well, which has an enormous amount of debt and a very small market cap, also getting hit. By the way, Charter doing that Cox deal, they're issuing over 30 million shares. 11.9 billion is what it was valued at when they announced the deal back in May. It's not worth that anymore, Carl, of course, with this significant decline.
I wonder on the sub weakness, is that in any way related to softness at the low end of the consumer? I only ask because we got a downgrade of Procter today, largely from JP Morgan, sort of looking at challenges at the lower cohort.
It may be. I mean, you know, there was the Affordable Connectivity plan or program that under the Biden administration that went away, and that particularly for that cohort, and that impacted a lot of these numbers previously, but that's kind of gone now. So you may be right. It may simply be an affordability issue to a certain extent. I should, by the way, say that now Charter did say when they, for the year ago quarter, the impact from the loss of the ACP was only 50,000 subs, not the 100,000 they previously told us. But none of it looks particularly good right now.
Coming back to the break, former Ford CEO Mark Field to be with us as VW this morning warns about a $1.5 billion hit in the first half from tariffs. When we come right back.
CNBC Crypto World is sponsored by Crypto.com, trusted by 150 million users globally.
Smarter threats need even smarter protection. CrowdStrike Charlotte AI is delivering the future of cybersecurity for what's now and what's next. Built on the intelligence of every breach we stop and refined by human expertise, Charlotte AI gets smarter so your business stays safer, so you can build for tomorrow with confidence and efficiency and protect what matters most. That's why the businesses you trust CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike. We stop breaches.
Once you have kids, you want to make sure that they're taken care of.
Brett said use incognito, and I was like, that's not the problem. People don't use incognito to buy. Gotta fix that.
Those extension points. Can you submit those receipts?
Let me know when you get done, okay, Lynn? Let me make sure I get the credit. Oh, yeah. Don't, take your time.
Looks like your hiring's making a lot of people happy.
ZipRecruiter's new tool, Zip Intro, is a game changer. It saved me so many steps in the hiring process. Look, I just pick a time, and it handles everything, from finding great candidates to setting up interviews.
So, no more back and forth.
Right. I can just choose from this list and meet with them as soon as tomorrow. Oh, wow. Another dignified portrait of me.
Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Try it free. Only at ZipRecruiter.com/CNBC.
Rather than get rich quick, I believe in get rich slow. The high yield cash account at Public actually had higher rates than anything else I was able to find online. I don't want to be losing sleep over having made risky investments. I needed something stable that could really give me long-term financial benefits. I know my money's working hard for me, and I know I can access it anytime I need it.
Out here, there's always plenty of loyal followers. And whether it's your first new chicks or a farm full, we got all the supplies and know-how you'll need.
Welcome to Tractor Supply and to life out here.
Never miss a moment.
Continue to focus on payment stablecoins. The United States government has put its stamp of approval on a very important digital asset.
You can't have a socialist city in a capitalist mix.
What is very important is that the president choose a party who will defend the Fed's independence.
Volkswagen, the latest company hit by tariffs. The automaker cuts its full-year forecast, now saying it took a $1.5 billion tariff hit in the first half of the year. Reuters also just reporting EU officials say a deal with the U.S., a trade deal, could happen as soon as this weekend. Joining us now is former Ford CEO and a CNBC contributor, Mark Fields, also a senior advisor at TPG. Mark, 80% of VW's sales in the U.S. come from imported vehicles. So what do you do if you're Volkswagen?
Well, they can do a number of different things. First off, as you saw from their earnings quarter, it was a kind of a mixed bag. They had to lower their full year guidance, and they faced a number of challenges. But in particular for the U.S., as you mentioned, they're one of the most exposed European global automakers because they import 80% of their vehicles into the U.S. They have a plant in Chattanooga, so they can continue to bring some models over there. They do have not only some excess capacity in the plant, I think they have land where they can expand, but they can only do so much in the near term. So it's going to continue to be an issue for them. And David, the other challenges they face is besides the tariffs in the U.S., which is a really important growth market for them. They face this really hyper-competitive market in China, which has traditionally been one of their biggest and most profitable markets. They got the European CO2 requirements, which is forcing more sales of EVs, which has lower margins than their internal combustion engines. And I think importantly, and this really wasn't picked up too much in their earnings,
Yeah, I got the credit. Thank you. I'll let them know. So don't use LinkedIn, right? Basically, that's so stupid. I'm sorry, that's so stupid.
Mark, I'm curious, when you look around the world right now, given everything that's going on in your experience, who is best positioned? We heard from GM and Tesla this week in terms of earnings. I mean, who in your mind is the best positioned or amongst the best positioned automakers?
Well, it's a great question, David. If you think about growth potential going forward, I think the real winners right now, given the tariffs and the whole geopolitical situation, is actually the Chinese domestic brands. Because they're keeping their heads down, they're not distracted by tariffs and other things. They have a big export push going on. The quality of their vehicles is pretty best world class right now, with the best of the global automakers. So I think they're well positioned. But I think the next best positioned is folks like Toyota. They're steady. They have a very good strategy between EVs and hybrids, which they've traditionally, hybrids been very strong, and they just have a rock solid brand image. And then, as far as the U.S. automakers, both Ford and GM, they have very big franchises in SUVs and trucks, which drives a lot of profitability. And the weaker ones, obviously, are the Stellantises of the world, the Nissans of the world that are going through some big restructurings.
On the Japan trade deal for U.S. automakers, so there's been some complaints by the industry groups and the unions that it's not fair because now Japan gets a lower rate because most of the parts and the U.S. autos are manufactured in places like Mexico or Canada, so they actually have to pay higher tariff rates than Japan. Is that a fair assessment? What does that mean for the U.S. automakers?
Yes, sir. It's a pretty fair assessment. I mean, I would call this, for Japan, if this trade agreement, or at least outline, holds, you never know until the ink is dry, it's a win for them, right? They get to avoid harsher tariffs. They don't have any export buying restrictions, which you recall back in the 80s under the Reagan administration. They put those restrictions in, which then forced the Japanese to build more production here in the U.S. And it stabilizes the trade outlook for them. From the U.S., if you're a U.S. automaker standpoint, it's kind of like just empty calories, because at the end of the day, we get more access to the Japanese market, but our products are not particularly preferred by the Japanese. And you got this really oddball situation where, as you said, U.S. automakers, they're at a disadvantage because many of their North American built vehicles, which do have a lot of U.S. content, face a 25% import tariff coming from either Mexico or Canada, while Japan has a lower tariff of 15%. So you got this situation that North American vehicles with a lot of U.S. content face a higher import tax than Japanese with very little U.S. content.
Good job.
Yeah, it kind of gets to that, this sort of weird unknown, Mark, where's the line between truly unfair...
I want to keep trading because I'm addicted.
Right, where markets are closed to our goods, and there's a benefit between what we make and what they want, right? You see it in cars in Japan, you see it with beef in Europe, and so maybe not Australia now, but...
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right.
Stop messing with Tradify and just keep trading now.
To be really clear to, the
Well, there's been no issue, so I talked to the guy and he's gonna send it to the dev team. So good job. I owe you one. If I get a freebie, I'll give you anything you want next month. That's a big help.
Greater market access for a market that really doesn't fit for U.S. products. So they have to be very clear on what they really want to make.
I have to try to find next freebie I get. I'm giving it to him.
Always appreciate it. Thank
walk on the street, anytime, anywhere. Just listen to and follow this walk.
I knew there was an issue. There's like, there's no way I get like no sell. It just doesn't make sense when I'm promoting it nonstop on Twitter.
Choice for the professional builder of North America with our advanced branded solutions from foundation to rooftop.
Are you guys short or long? Are you short? What about you, Gambit? Yeah, you guys love long here now. Yeah. Well, EU hasn't closed yet. I think in 30 minutes, it might get more movement. 15 minutes got more upside, so... But 3 minutes is near overbought now. Give it 20 more minutes and it might fade down. You hear what Ash just said? He's gonna charge back top step. Oh my God. Yeah, you don't want to charge back Apex or Top Step. They got money to get lawyers on you.
Your first new chicks or a farm full. We got all the supplies and know-how you'll need.
That's never to charge back anything.
Welcome to Tractor Supply and to Life Out Here.
Wednesday, August 6th, join CNBC's virtual small business playbook event, Real World Insights on navigating volatility and seizing opportunity. Register now at cnbcevents.com/smallbiz.
Today, let's paint with Behr, America's most trusted paint brand.
Wait, we don't have Behr.
Do we need that?
Well, this here's a paint and primer.
It just says ain't.
You bought 8.
Well, with Behr, you can paint a whole room for under $100.
Man, you are killing it. So when can you request the other Apex payout? Next week?
All paint's the same.
No, they're not.
Nice.
Don't overpay.
You just gotta flip, right? You don't need to actually get $400. Oh, consistency. Never mind.
Really interesting stock action this morning with LVMH. It was down initially. Now it's bouncing back after that initial fall. And that's because it was a weak quarter for the world's largest luxury company. Overall sales down 4%. Its core fashion and leather goods, that's the big driver. That was down 9%. The company citing weakness in China, currency swings, what they call the macro environment. The U.S. remained flat. That was actually helped by strength at Sephora. A lot of people don't realize LVMH owns Sephora. And stronger demand for champagne. So that's a good sign for the U.S. Now, luxury investors now turning to Kering and Hermes next week. Hermes expected to be strong as the wealthiest consumers, as Sarah just mentioned, continue to spend. The focus on Kering will be on its troubled Gucci division. Now, broadly speaking, beyond LVMH, luxury stocks are riding a lot higher on this K-shaped economy where the wealthy keep spending, the middle and lower income consumers still cutting back. See that in airlines, across travel, lots of companies right now. Ralph Lauren hitting an all-time high the other day. Richemont reporting a 6% rise in jewelry sales. And Brunello Cucinelli reaffirming its forecast of 10% sales growth here. So really strong at the very top of this market. Hermes market cap, which passed LVMH first back in April, now larger than LVMH, even though their sales are about 1/5 that of LVMH at around 249 billion euros. Surprising to many people given their overall size that the market cap of
Not
Hermes.
surprising if you know what a Birkin bag costs.
Yeah. Or what $10 million for the real Jane Birkin is going to help demand for overall Birkin bags. So even within luxury, we have this sort of split between the very high of luxury and those companies that really appeal to the aspirational buyer, the more mass market luxury. And that's where LVMH has got to work that out.
How much of this involves any kind of stabilization in China demand?
Every everything that you see in LVMH stock price coming back today is based on their optimism yesterday about China. I don't know what that's based on. The Chinese were shopping in Japan because of the weaker yen. Now
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to curve down on the 3 minutes, but it might drop more. I'm gonna try to jump in a small size on a short.
Order submitted. Order canceled. Order submitted.
I'm waiting for 400 to be short.
But that's what investors are betting on today.
Yeah, folks said they saw growth in
I ain't wanting nothing.
Where's the first place you see with luxury cracks?
I mean, it started cracking at the bottom really 2 years ago, and it's
Damn it, I missed the short.
Again, I think Cucinelli, Hermes, some of these very sort of quiet luxury brands are going to be immune because they produce so little. But I think Dior, for instance, is a very exclusive brand. They're having trouble right now. People didn't expect that. And, of course, Gucci, which has its own issues.
I have a request for a future report on the art market because there's weird things going on there. I know you follow it. You'd think things would be going like this given what you're describing, but that's not the case.
So I've been thinking about it, and my whole newsletter this week, Inside Wealth newsletter, is really looking at this question. When financial wealth rises, the art market always follows suit. For the past 3 years, it's broken, and people are trying to understand why. I think it's because younger generations of rich people and collectors don't want the same paintings at the same price. They collect other things. They like handbags. They like sports collectibles. So I think the auction houses are trying to catch up with that. But the big question now is the art market broken? And if not,
Order
how will
filled.
the industry shift to meet this new generation?
Yeah, the journal kind of wrote a piece like that last couple of days about least trophy owners. Right,
But-
10 million and up.
But we had 20 plus declines for 2 years in a row in the art market, 6% so far this year. It's a puzzle given that wealth is growing, the stock market's growing.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Still ahead. What to do with Apple shares ahead of results next week, and the possible catalyst for those shares with money movers starts in a moment.
The ServiceNow platform connects every corner of your business, putting AI to work for people.
HR?
Yeah.
IT?
Yeah.
R&D.
Yeah.
OMG.
Yeah.
That's the department I work in.
All right. Enough of that.
Fees really start to add up. That eats directly into your potential returns. I found that public is really the only platform that offers rebates.
I'm gonna hold this short and I'll
which
sell
offset
at
those
9.
costs.
Order submitted.
For me, when it comes to investing, timing is everything, and public allows me to get a step ahead.
Crypto staking.
At 200. Oh, that's our 400.
SSK, sounds free sold, staking ETF, Solana exposure with staking rewards built in, convenient, cost-effective, secure. Solana, stake that you're all with simple ETF. SSK, regrets, free, not suitable for all investors. Investors should carefully review the fund's prospectus for objectives, risk, charges, and expenses. Visit regulators.com to obtain and read carefully before investing. Distributed by Foresight Fund Services.
Out here, there's always plenty of loyal followers. And whether it's your first new chicks or a farm full, we've got all the supplies and know-how you'll need.
Welcome to Tractor Supply, engine life out here.
EMG, Qualcomm, market reaction, expert analysis, strategies for your portfolio. All next week on CNBC and streaming on CNBC Plus.
Welcome to Money Movers. I'm Sarah. Then let's tell into the
What up? I think we'll dip later on, like end of the day or something. I actually want to pump so I can add more shorts on other accounts. But ETF was good today. I'm at 1,100 now, up 400. We just need what, 8 days and 3,000, right? Over 3,000 for a payout. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we got this. I'm not gonna try FMOC.
It's my coffee shop. We just
think
moved
that's-
to a bigger space, brought on another employee, and ordered new
Yeah,
bread.
FMOC is Wednesday, so the 30th, I
just
think.
chose my products, added our logo, and placed my order. Bring your own team together with custom gear.
Yeah, it
Get
is the
started today
30th.
at customink.com.
In a Jurassic World, every cheap vehicle is Jurassic Ring. Experience open air freedom for all. Surpass time, no matter what it is. Or a third row to fit in all the adventures. Jurassic World Rebirth.
Right now, with Employee Pricing Plus, purchase and get an average of $7,000 below MSRP on select 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee gas models.
Order submitted.
This great offer will become extinct July 31st.
You got 2 NQ? 3. Ooh. 50K count? That's a lot for 50K count.
Genesis Summer Signature Event. Get the GB80 for 2.99% APR
Yeah.
for 2 months. Exclusively at your DFW Genesis retailers.
That's too much.
Don't
No, don't go down.
saves you
It's eval. You don't cut losses. You blow it.
the trip to the grocery store. It's the right you need to be.
Popcorn?
I'm good.
You're not a true degen.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll order.
You save big orders. You can afford to give yourself a pass.
Was it Bonuts? Yeah, Bonuts cheap. I just let it blow most of the time.
Go beef bibimbap.
Yeah.
I eat, you read. I like the stuff.
I need 200 on this tick so I can be done. If it pop up again, I'm gonna short.
Is this your dream of retirement? How about this sweet deal? I like fishing. Or is this a little more your style? Retiring well isn't a guarantee, it's a goal. It's easy when markets are going up. But what about when they're not? That's why you need this.
Call for Fisher's Retirement Survival Kit, featuring your guide to surviving market volatility, our stock market outlook, plus the Fisher Investments Difference. 3 indispensable guides. Yours free.
Oh, 8 minutes. EU's closing.
5317.
Fisher Investments' disciplined approach will help see you through the market's ups and downs and give you the confidence you need to reach a comfortable retirement. And our fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Call now for your free retirement survival kit. 1-800-213-5317.
See if your dream retirement is on track.
If your portfolio is $1 million or more.
Oh shit, my short just hit again. I'm sure 415.
Without cancer research funding, my
Uh-oh. Oh damn, everything going short now. Oh fuck.
The American Cancer
Order
Society is the
canceled.
country's largest nonprofit funder of cancer research outside the federal government, and we need your help
Order
now
filled.
more than ever. For just $25 a month, you can
Order
be president
filled.
of
There we go.
lives.
whatever
Order
There we
filled.
go. That's nice.
will be everlasting.
Become a
Up
modern
500 on trade day. Gotta keep trading. Sorry, man.
Order canceled.
It's the first major innovation in CID.
proven to significantly reduce the risk of symptoms getting worse.
Treatment CIDP with a once-weekly injection in about 30 seconds.
Do not use
So I need 2 more hundred to get on the buffer on this other pro. Oh.
Submitted.
I'm not doing NQ, no. I only have 25k. It's easy to get blown. Yeah, I'm a little old.
Ask your neurologist about Bugatti for self-injection.
5? Dude.
The Genius Act is focused on payment stablecoins. The United States government
Yeah, he has 5 in there.
of approval on a very important digital asset.
You can't have a socialist city in a capitalist nation.
Well, we're going against the bot.
Very important is that the president choose a person who will defend the Fed's independence Order filled.
Order filled. Crypto Watch is sponsored by Crypto.com.
Ooh, it is fun. I know, right?
Is America's premier crypto platform.
Order filled.
Order filled.
The future of finance wasn't built around averages, but around you. At Abacus Global Management, we're reframing the very nature
Order
of financial
submitted.
planning
They
around
can still come down.
personal data possible, your lifespan. Because Abacus is the originator, the market maker. We're not just participating in the space,
Yeah.
we're reshaping it. As a technology
Order filled.
manager, we're empowering our investors with
There
an
you go.
integrated system to take command of what matters most.
Order submitted.
Your future, your
There you
financial
go.
destiny. Legacy firms cling to static models and outdated assumptions. We move forward with precision, agility, and a vision rooted in reality. Your reality. This isn't finance as usual. This is control in the hands of those who dare to lead. This is a new era of investing built on the truth of your life. Welcome to Abacus Global Management.
Decline? Meet new Cunol Brain Health, the first and only tablet to combine 2 high absorption ingredients, clinically shown to improve memory, focus, attention, and more. Trust Cunol for more convenience of brain health support.
Why should you trade options rather than stocks? Because they offer higher returns, are cost effective, and can actually reduce risk.
Came back up.
Get a free copy today at itsnotanoption.com. It's not an option.com.
Things personalized, like my coffee. So when my doctor prescribed Vyvgart Hytrulo self-injection for my generalized myasthenia gravis, we personalized my treatment goals. Vyvgart Hytrulo can improve daily abilities and reduce muscle weakness.
It's my treatment, my way.
Vyvgart Hytrulo for weekend away Steve.
It's travel ready. I can go where I go.
Self-injection fits my plans. Do not use Vyvgart Hytrulo if you're allergic to its ingredients. It may increase infection risk and cause serious allergic or infusion or
I'm at
injection-related
$42 Gambit on the Pro for the payout. And then I need 130 more to get buffer on the other ones. So getting there.
Infections, headache, and injection site reactions.
I'm still shorting.
Order submitted.
Reducing my symptoms. Treatment? My way. Ask your neurologist about Vyvgart Hytrulo.
Brutal. Okay, let's talk Korean. And by that I mean bibigo beep bibimbap. I eat, you read. I like the stuff.
Read the chat, Gambit.
Just need a little help.
I know you heard that.
I just want someone to tell me
What's your nose with what pants?
I don't know what else to wear. Most of the time, the solution is easy. Stitch Fix. We're not the best fit, but Stitch Fix online versus
Let it dump while I go pee. I'll be back.
Stitch Fix sushi. Is huge. Leave uneven. The best flavors. Biggest stage. This is legendary. USL on the networks of ESP.
No, I don't have any short. Don't dump yet.
Morgan Stanley, old school hard work meets bold new thinking. Partnering to unlock new ideas, to create new legacies, to transform a company, industry, economy, generation. Because grit and vision, working in lockstep, puts you on the path to your full potential. Old school grit, new world ideas. Morgan Stanley.
A lot of humans. Can we get a human over here? That's one of the great things about consumer cellular. Their 100% US-based customer service is also 100% human. You don't have to talk to a bunch of robots, just humans in America. Robots are the worst. Yeah, I think it's mad at us.
For those 50 and up, get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each with Consumer Cellular.
Investing. You buy low, sell high, jump on that trend, ride the wave up. That's not how investing works. You're not a child playing a game. This is grown-up business.
Boy, don't you have to work? Oh yeah, it's Friday. Oh man, weekend's gonna be long. At least we got a movie to kill some time. I wish we can trade every day. You don't trade on TPT? You should try TPT one day. You'll love it.
Social media stuff.
What? Tell your son to sit out in a tournament so you can try it. Since he has his trade day, he need to focus on. So I'll get you to 25K next month. There's only free eval though, but not free activation. So if you pass, you gotta pay for it. Oh. You long gambit? Okay. Are you up to 200? Nice. Stop trading. You're good.
Understanding what just happened in the markets that day and preparing for tomorrow. I'm looking to talk to sophisticated investors, beginning investors. I'm always what? Slowing down over time.
And streaming on CNBC Plus. Wednesday, August 6th. Join CNBC's virtual small business playbook event. Real world insights.
What invite? What invite? Yeah, fuck you. You ain't going. You gonna send me some money for the movie? I'll take it. It's pretty expensive at the movie. Popcorn costs like $10, dude. Don't be sending me $3.
Steve Kovac.
Peace out.